It's Friday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm KJ, and this is KJ's What Happened. Thank you for being here. We have a lot to look at. There's a lot going on. Honk honk, as they say. Clown world. Every day it's something new. It's coming really fast. Most of us aren't exactly surprised. We've been seeing the signs of this coming for a long time. This great change. The rising up. There's always that theme of rising up in commercials and TVs and movies over the last 10 years. It's a lot of that. And we'll rise up, rise. Also, a storm is coming. For like the last 10 years, that's been programmed in so many movies, TV shows. I think Trump was tweeting it at one point. A storm is coming. We see some of these kinds of trends. And when they're over and over and over again, to me, that's what I feel like is an example of programming. There's some form of imprinting. Anywho, I'm rambling and it's early. Welcome. There really is a lot to get into, though, for real. I even launched a link to a show I'm going to do Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time with Jacob Israel, Casey from Enter the Stars, and Days of Noah. Quite the lineup. And we're all just going to discuss what's happening, the events, that are unfolding. I titled it, We Are Watching Them Build the Final Beast Kingdom. That's my perspective, but we'll see what the guys think. But I think Sunday night it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. All of these guys are awesome. They're all unique individuals. We all share a love of Christ in common. We're all brothers in Christ. And you'll see. This is going to be something special. So I hope you can make it. Also, next week, I'm going to be doing a show, another hangout, where you guys, I'll put a link in the chat. You can jump in and we'll just discuss whatever you want to discuss. So it's time to do another one of those. And also my newest video, it's about how they're putting magic in the movies. That should be up Monday, like the next few days or so. So thank you for that. A big shout out to my Patreon, PayPal supporters out there. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. And everybody else, man, just thanks for being here. It's cool. I appreciate you. There's a lot to look at, man. So buckle up. Buckle up. And there's some new trends I want to get into and talk about, too. This is one. More and more stories are coming out with Obama back in the headlines. Here's another one, and this is just right up our alley. Or our alley. I think I said that right. Suspicious mystery grows debating Obama's tweeted photo of George Floyd 9 days before his death. President Barack Obama's foundation seemingly and mysteriously posted a photo of George Floyd 9 days before his death with the message, "This is America." Guys, we've seen this so many times before, right? Even back to the 9/1+1 event. They broadcast the story early on the BBC in the United Kingdom about the attack before it had even happened, right? So the original tweet from May 16th is below. Floyd actually passed on May 25th. And this is from the Obama Foundation. You see it right here. Are you ready to lead in your community? Join us at obama.org. I'm asking you to believe. I don't know what all that is. Oh, here we go. The Obama Foundation from May 16th. There it is. Are you ready to lead in your community? Join us at obama.org. And then there's this image, which first thing I saw is the all-seeing eye. This is America with an all-seeing eye. Floyd's the middle, the pupil. Can't really make out what the stuff is on the side. I have to take a closer look. But anyway, the big mystery is, why was this tweeted on May 16th, 2020, when he actually passed away on May 25th? What's that all about? Here's something from Crowdsource the Truth. They say, this may be the most important thing I've ever tweeted. Can anyone explain how the image may have been changed after May 17th? Please retweet this as much as possible. If anyone knows how to change an image in a past tweet, please tell me.
A lot of people have been sending me this and remarking that it's weird, but I wanted to dig into it a bit more. This is Twitter today, June 7th. The Obama Foundation, which Charles Ortel has told us has not been properly organized. Obviously, a lot of imagery of George Floyd. The thing that's interesting is if we go back in time here to May 17th, they've posted this picture of a sign being held up that says, "This is America." Now, the interesting thing is, I've captured that and put it into Adobe Photoshop. And there's also this picture of George Floyd standing against a brick wall. I wonder if the lighting in this picture matches the background, but this is George Floyd. That's not disputed. And when we bring that picture in here, resize it, scale it, look at that. Does that not look like the same exact image of George Floyd being used to make this poster that's posted by the Obama Foundation on May 17th? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That is George Floyd in the image, isn't it? It certainly seems to me like it is. I've done a lot of photo retouching work, and my work in stereoscopic 3D has caused me to gain the ability to judge subtle differences between images. There is no doubt that this poster, which says "This is America" and features a picture of George Floyd with 2 roses right next to him, was published 8 days prior to his death. How did the Obama Foundation know that George Floyd should be used in a photo?
Good question. I'm glad that guy broke it down a little bit. So, oh boy, is this more of that Illuminati card game type magic, or that 9 plus the 2 ones showing up in The Simpsons and so many other shows and movies before it ever happened? Is it? Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps. Because it's interesting with what's happening with Obama, again, coming back into the news a lot. You'll see some of that trend tonight. So this is one to look into. I mean, we're not even surprised at this point if that's what it is, if it's just more predictive programming, if you will. Lesser magic, the spell. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez supports defund the police movement. Okay, no surprise. Just a headline there. This one right here, not sure if I showed you guys this last week. It says, "This can't be real, is it? Is the brainwashing and propaganda that strong that they have police washing the feet of organizers?" So I guess that's what we're looking at here. It's some of the police officers washing the feet of the organizers. There you go. There it is. Christian fired for picking gospel over BL plus M. If you know what I mean. A Southern Baptist woman was fired from her job and received online harassment after posting a video calling on Christians to reject the social justice gospel. Reagan Escud is a lifelong Southern Baptist. She's from Shreveport and has lived 4 years in Natchitoches, Louisiana. I probably butchered that. She graduated college in 2019 and worked at a local business for almost a year. June 10th would have been her anniversary, but the mob came to cancel her. If anyone was wondering about the power of mob mentality and cancel culture, I was just fired from my job for giving a biblical response to social issues. Any advice from other voices who feel silenced? And this is what she had posted. It says, "You might not think of Natchitoches, Louisiana as the front line of the culture war, but it is. A former co-worker saw Reagan's video and took to social media to demand that she be canceled. And within a few hours, she was fired from work." Wow. Man, this is Black Mirror level stuff, isn't it, though? But we're seeing it more and more. We've seen it. It's been growing. Our social media, man, social media just, I don't know how much you share. I don't share personal stuff. I share the things I find in the world, but wow. Anyway, according to Escud, she was fired due to threats made to her employer, including death threats towards the owners. I don't know if rolling the R will fool the algorithm or not. I'm not sure. Here's a screenshot of the online post calling the Southern Baptist racist and a homophobic. It says, hello, everyone. This is Reagan the Racist. Bonus point, she's homophobic too. Okay, we get it. It's going to be one of those things. Escud Reagan, that's her name, right? Yeah, Reagan received a few messages and subtweets indicating she needed her butt beat. I've tried to avoid reading most of them, but the trending comments were that I am a racist and I'm homophobic and not a Christian. Reagan's crime? She said that Jesus offers a better way to racial reconciliation through the gospel than the policies promoted by the BL+M movement. Reagan's video posted to Instagram, which has reached about 6,400 views as of Saturday evening, received partisan condemnation from woke SJ warriors. It also elicited praise from others, including some Christians. I watched her video. It wasn't racist. Matter of fact, as a black woman who is very Christian, I full-on support it. It's kind of sad the Bible tells Christians not to conform to the patterns of this world, and yet they're doing it. Great point, milady. Great point. We are the new punk rockers. We are the new fringe. We're the new edge, which really says a lot, because a world and a culture where sickness, disease, hate, crime, violence, death, destruction is normal, and degeneracy is becoming normal, we don't want to fit in with that. We're on the other side of that. We're an enemy of that kind of a system, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. This was an important part of Reagan's video. She called out Christians for falling into biblical error. She says, I'm seeing a lot of Christians, a lot of evangelical leaders, a lot of people that I grew up in church with who are falling for the social gospel. Let's see if I can find this video. Shouldn't there be a link? I'd like to just kind of watch the video at this point. Okay, here we go. Maybe this is it. Yeah, let's watch this. I'm curious. Maybe not the whole thing. It's 12 minutes, but we'll check some of this out here.
Hey guys, so this is sort of an impromptu video I've decided to make because I'm seeing a lot of things on social media. I've been posting on my Instagram story pretty excessively the last week, but I really just want to make a post talking about a biblical perspective on the Black Lives Matter movement. I try very hard when I am learning about things within our culture and learning about things within our political sphere, to take in all the facts and to look to scripture to figure out, okay, how do I need to look at this as a Christian, as a believer? I'm seeing a lot of Christians, a lot of evangelical leaders, a lot of people that I grew up in church with who are falling for this social gospel. And so I wanted to make this video to remind you all of why we as Christians should not support the Black Lives Matter movement, and why we should be vigilant against all the things the world tells us and all the things that the world is telling us right now. There's this crazy narrative going on right now where people are saying, pretty much if you don't support the Black Lives Matter movement, then you must be racist. Because if you don't support the Black Lives Matter movement, then it's impossible for you to stand against racism. And that is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, because the Black Lives Matter movement hasn't been around forever. So what did people do before then? Stood against racism. Believers called it out as a sin, as a heart problem, as a sin problem that can only be reconciled through Jesus Christ. We don't need a movement for that. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about why we should be focusing on to point people back to the gospel. The gospel is sufficient for us. We don't need a movement to tell us Black Lives Matter. That should be a given. Jesus thought Black Lives Mattered before they tore down Ferguson, before they burned American flags, before they assaulted and murdered police officers, before they rioted in Minneapolis, and before the rioting outspread across the country. We don't need a movement for that. We need the gospel. So I want to give you a couple of verses. Galatians 3:28, there is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is no male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Romans 10:12 says, for there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord is Lord of all, bestowing his riches on all who call on him. God does not discriminate. And those verses are evidence of that. We are all made in the image of God. So when it comes to George Floyd, we should be mourning and we should be grieving the injustice of his death. And we should be devastated at the thought that a man made in the image of God was murdered unjustly by a corrupt cop. The cop's actions are not a result of systemic racism. It is not a result of racial prejudice, discrimination within law enforcement. It's a reflection of his heart and a problem that is deep within his heart that can only be reconciled through Jesus Christ.
Okay, I don't want to play the whole thing, but you can go watch the whole thing if you want. It's ria.eliz.esc at Instagram. It's the girl. So there you go. But good points. Anyway, she took a lot of heat for that. A lot of heat. A lot of people came at her hard. And that's something, as far as trends go, that I'm going to be watching for now with the so-called BL plus M and the anti-fascists, so-called, but they're fascists, the Antifa. But I'm looking now for the angle against Christians to start popping up more with that. And maybe more signage, maybe against Christians or Jesus, maybe more attacks towards churches or Christians. There's still a lot of churches locked down. People aren't even going to church because of the crown virus. Anywho, man. So I see all this as a spirit. It's an antichrist spirit that's rising up, and it's all around the world. It's breaking out in the UK. I know we got some UK friends out there. Right now is really late for them, maybe 2-3 in the morning. Some of them stay up. So hello, if you're up there with us, and any of you, not just even UK, any other countries out there aside from the United States. I know a lot of you stay up kind of late for this. Thank you. An extra special thanks for joining us. But yeah, it's starting to break out all over the place, right? So, I mean, what is the narrative, right? One man's death at the hands of a bad police officer in America have to do with the United Kingdom? Very little, but the signal is off, and it's all rising up. There's a man, gosh, I'll talk about this later. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. He's an author, and he's written about hidden dark armies, hidden satanic dark armies that are programmed and all this stuff. And I've covered a lot of that subject as well throughout the years. I've showed a lot of programming on that very level in a lot of my videos and shows as well. But I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. Some of you are probably shouting it out right now. But a lot of interesting work he's put out there as far as these different groups that'll at one point be set off. And, this is the time, it seems to me. I'd need to see what he's saying, if he's even making videos or talking about it, or maybe writing new books. I'm not sure. But in the chat section, or if it's the comment section for you, if you're watching this later, if you know who I'm talking about, please let me know. They talk about the dark satanic armies, hidden groups that will be programmed to start inciting violence and madness and all that stuff at one point. Anyway, so this is the United Kingdom. chasing the police down. But Bobby's on the run. Bobby's on the run. Bobby's on the run. It's a spirit. Look at this. It's a new Jesus. For some people, it's the new Jesus, especially for people that don't even believe in Jesus or God. This is their Jesus. Minneapolis City Council members announce intent to disband the police department, invest in proven community-led public safety. I would love to see people just police their own communities if the LL did it morally, ethically, and more important, in line with the ways of Christ. Right? I mean, that's the way I see it. I'd be okay with that if people could do that. I don't see that spirit connected with all of this necessarily. I see lots of violence coming out of this, lots of hatred, lots of anger, lots of destruction. That's just me. So there you go. If you're living in Minneapolis City, ruh-roh. A lot of people have been talking about this one. Just another one. I've probably even shown this before. But have you seen this right here? Lining up the eyes with the ear. Eyes with the ear. I show you this because one of my subscribers sent me a video I'm going to show you guys in a little bit, which is interesting, to say the least. But there's a lot of men that can kind of pass for this type of look. Lots of people have been pointing this out. There's a lot of things that are obviously very shady around this whole thing, and we, I believe, get it. That we know why this kind of stuff is programmed. There's secret societies connected with all this, and I believe that we are watching them build that final beast system before our very eyes. Anyway, speaking of eyes, so here's the two pictures. This is on the right side supposed to be the guy in the pokey, as they say, and his eyes don't line up with his ear. And then on the left is the guy that was on the scene, and his eyes and ears do line up. I mean, it seems to make sense to me. I don't know. Hey, I'm not Bill Nye the Science Guy over here, folks. Calm down. But that's interesting, I'll say. Oh boy, here we go. Kroger is even defining white privilege, microaggressions, and social privilege. Now it's Kroger is in this. Allyship Guide from Awareness to Advocacy. And this is, you see Kroger, which is a grocery store. I don't know if you knew that or not. Kroger is a grocery store with as above, so below symbolism for whatever reason. And now they're going to go ahead and explain all these concepts to you so you can understand. You can get in line. Okay? You got it? You heard? It's the way you're going to start thinking now. Whoa, get your hands off of that can of beans, sir. Do you understand what a microaggression is? Oh, you don't. So you didn't do your reading. Antifa reportedly chased out of town by Hell's Angels biker gang. Classic. Given the recent George Floyd protests to have erupted throughout the United States, various cities have been destroyed in parts due to rioting. Spearheaded by BL plus M, the George Floyd protests have devolved into rioting and looting by thousands of attendees. Far-left agitators and FARDA have been apportioned significant blame for steering some of the chaos present over the weekend. A tweet containing a Facebook post from the small California town telling how the infamous Hells Angels united the other gangs to reportedly repel an Anfarta demonstration. The tweet reads, Anfarta has threatened the town of Placerville, California. They said if anyone stands in their way, there will be consequences. So, Hells Angels and the Mongols, oh boy, biker gangs have accepted the challenge. Ruh-roh. A lengthy Facebook report was reposted and shared thousands of times as the news spread across social media like wildfire. One repost read, "Unheard of, but so awesome. Hell's Angels and Mongols. Now we're getting saved by the Hell's Angels. Great, guys. Still, I think it's kind of awesome. It really is like old school America versus this rising Marxism or communism or whatever term you want to put on it. I mean, ultimately, it's all going to lead to that final beast system, in my opinion. It's about control, for one. But you got the Hell's Angels coming to save us. Hell's Angels and Mongols team up against a common enemy. I mean, honk, honk. Why not? Right? It's just one of the craziest. It's one of the craziest movies ever. It really is. I'm changing the name of the channel tomorrow. The craziest movie ever. Not sure if this has been shared today or not. Anfarta threatens Placerville, California, says anyone who gets in their way will suffer consequences. Local Hells Angels and Mongols motorcycle gangs take up the challenge. Update, dang it, the Anfarta cowards chickened out, called it off. Not sure if this has been shared today or not, but Anfarta threatens Placerville, California. We got it. Okay, so they didn't show up. There you go. We got it. Good job, fellers. Here's that video. One of my subscribers sent this to me, and thank you. Again, by the way, this is the short version. They also sent me a longer version, which is apparently this guy is a comedian. He's got a comedy channel, but I mean, look at the guy. Does this guy look familiar? I don't know. But listen to what he's saying here. This is one of his kind of comedy bits. By the way, if the friend of mine on YouTube, if you're watching, if you're the one that sent this to me, people may have questions about maybe that longer version. Just off the top of my head, if you're watching, please maybe leave a link in the comment section or maybe the chat section or whatever, and let them find it. They may want to watch. So I should have put that up here. I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I mainly wanted to get to this part. So I'll just play it out. You can listen. Here you go. Again, keeping in mind, he looks a lot like, I mean,
And this is working from home. We could do anything we want with movies, right? We could go anywhere, see anything. Why do we just keep seeing people getting killed in different ways? Here's the body, and now here's the show.
You see that May 24th, which is important. What is that, like the day before the event? Am I right?
From home, we could do anything we want with movies, right? We could go anywhere, see anything. Why do we just keep seeing people getting killed in different ways? Here's the body, and now here's the show. Oh, great. How about a show that doesn't start with a corpse? That'd be kind of novel and entertaining.
Please. The one I like even less than starting with a body is starting with a live person and seeing them brutally killed.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I don't care for that one either. It's too realistic these days. Yeah,
but bro, he's not fucking moving.
No, do they fucking kill him, bro?
Bro,
it's too realistic these days. Yeah, I don't need to see that. In the old days, when it was like, it was obviously fake, almost like a sight gag, like a play of play on what you're seeing. You cut to a close up, and you fake whatever it is.
stopping his breathing right there, bro.
Okay, he's talking.
You line people up, so the punch, I like that, the artistic skill that takes to pull those things off.
Now, he enjoying that. He enjoying that shit.
What are we keeping track on for? Make a note of important shit if there is any.
Sorry, some of the audio is real low.
You're breathing. You're above ground and you're off.
Now, he enjoying that. He enjoying that shit.
What are we keeping track on for? Make a note of important shit if there is any. As long as you're breathing, you're above ground and you're you got a place to be. And I like that, the artistic skill that takes to pull those things off more than I do like CGI stuff. And CGI stuff looks so real these days. It's crazy. Anyway, off on a tangent about the violence in TV and stuff. And
so here's some of the pictures. The one in the video on the left side was identified as, excuse me, hold on. Ay, sorry, take a drink of water here. And then on the right side there, on the top is supposed to be the same guy, and then underneath, oh, that's the actor. Says Benjamin Ray Bailey, Freemason, low-level actor, star of Cash Cab. Okay, now I don't know. Is that the same? I guess that's the same guy. I knew he looked familiar, but I mean, I don't think it's. Again, I don't know, guys. Okay, this is just something somebody sent me. I did think it was interesting. I've watched Cash Cab. You've watched Cash Cab? It's entertaining. You might even learn a thing or two. But I didn't know that Benjamin Ray Bailey was a Mason either, so I'll have to look into that. So I don't know. But yeah, that is interesting if that's him too. Saying all that stuff May 24th, just the day before all that happened, and also talking about the breathing situation. So it's unlisted, but thank you. I try not to share the names whenever you guys send me things. It's not out of disrespect. It's the opposite. I just, for whatever reason, if someone doesn't like something or whatever, I don't want anybody being mad at you or, whatever. So, oh, okay. This is, yeah, it speaks for itself, I think.
Brother. Go ahead, Lord.
Oh, wait. Okay. This isn't exactly what I thought it was, but still, this is terrible. It's another video of a white girl down on her knees, and, you'll hear what they talk about and stuff. But the poster board she's in front of, I think it says, it says 666 above a picture of Jesus Christ. So maybe this is kind of what I was talking about. Maybe we'll start seeing more of this kind of a thing. I knew this story was coming up, and this is the one that started me thinking, oh, maybe that's where we'll start seeing more of a shift and seeing more of this talk in a lot of these different kind of various groups that are rising up right now, bringing up Jesus, maybe the astrotheology stuff. He's not real, and people follow him, and he was a racist, and who knows,
There you go. Now that's a kiss it. You gotta kiss it. There you go. Now who's the next brother? Step on up. This how you do this. Hold on, Lori. Hold on. Because we the real true Christian prophets of the Lord over here. Okay, Lori, go ahead. All right, well, go ahead. Okay, there you go. Move up. We don't want to soar either. Go ahead, General Q.
Look at the symbols for Saturn they have on their hands or their arms. The armbands. The guy on the far right had it.
All you white people that's watching this is your future. Come yes, sir. Come yes, sir. Come yes, sir. This is your future. You are going into captivity. You are going into slavery for what your forefathers did. Not just because we said it.
Pretty sure now that I'm watching this, these are probably the Hebrew Israelites. Yeah, there's a little link there. So yeah, that's who it is. But still, we see this connected with the BL plus M. So perhaps we'll start seeing more of this talk that Jesus is black. And we'll see more of that, which to me is color never mattered. But we'll probably, maybe I don't want to predict anything. I don't know. But I mean, I could see that happening,
That's America's future right there for you.
Because we saw the video last week of the little white girl bending down to the guy that ran up and said, for BLM, we need you to get on your knees and da-da-da, and she did. And you see the same thing over here with these Hebrew Israelites. So, same spirit, right? Oh, man, this one right here. So, look, somebody emailed me and just said it's not UFOs about this video that I just put this in my most recent video, some footage from this. Here it is. It was at the end of this news broadcast, and these things showed up out here, and they would be on screen for maybe 3 seconds, and they'd disappear. And then Other ones would come in for a little bit and then disappear, and it was really interesting. And I always thought it was interesting because I've seen a lot of other footage out there of UFOs, but they look similar, like spirits in the sky, or they have tails, and they can shapeshift and form. And I remember, I did a video with this footage maybe 2 years ago, like back when it happened. It's around 2018. Even in that, I was talking about how these people kept saying it was seagulls, and I didn't buy that. So the person that emailed me sent this same thing, and so let me explain. The most, I guess I don't want to say most controversial, but I guess the most divisive videos I do are paranormal supernatural types, because there's simply in this world, I believe there's people who just, first off, don't have the eyes to see any of that. They don't believe there's anything else that exists outside their five senses. And that's it. The natural men, as they're called. Also, I went to film school. My major is in screenwriting. My minor is editing. So I understand about editing, and I understand how camera works and footage works and CGI and all the little tricks you can play. I mean, I get all that stuff, So I always question these things. I have a lot of other questions. And every time footage comes up, you'll almost always immediately have people coming out with the most basic answer ever. Every now and then, these people can be right, and it's good. We need to, if something can be explained, if it's drones or whatever, or flares, we need to figure that out, But it's not always drones or flares or birds or something. But anyway, anytime I do a video on something like this, though, I will look up anyone trying to debunk it and try to see the answer to it. I mean, I put some of that in my most recent video with the rings in the sky. A lot of people think it's one thing, but then it showed up, even back in the 50s at a military base a long time ago, and they watched it form into a cloud. So it's something else. It's also in the television show Westworld season 3, and there's also associations to the Boris with that as well. So if we're really at the end of time, maybe we're seeing that manifest more and more in the skies above us. I don't know. I don't believe it's all just exhaust rings, or fireworks, but that's just me. So, but with this one, so I'll go down, I'll just show you immediately. First off, this is from metabunk.org, which is basically a Snopes. I've seen this before. I've had people send me Metabunk on other videos I've done. These people always try to pick the most low-hanging fruit, anything they think they can debunk easily. But there's footage that I've shown you guys for years. I've never seen them try to debunk. That's just me. But even right here, like in this, listen to what he says. This is the guy explaining this footage. He's saying, these are just seagulls. But first off, just listen clearly to what he says he did.
They added the trails in the... But what about these strange trails? Well, I've actually added the trails in the video that's inset here. Let's have a closer look.
All right, there. I mean, the guy admits to adding the trails to these things. So on the right side, he's saying these are just seagulls. On the left, he's saying that is all the same thing. On the right side, he said he added... Let me see if there's some original footage of these things on the right. No, there's not. But so right off, he said he added also, and I noticed somebody else brought this up, these seagulls, which are right over here on the right side, our right, the ones he added digital effects to, they're just above that building right there, right? Which is, people pointed out below, that's like downtown or something. It's maybe, 50 feet up in the sky or something. And this one right here was, if you look, look at the towers down here from the city and all this lights down below. This is on the left-hand side. Look how high up this was. So people are saying they had to have been 600 feet high up in the sky. And I pointed this out before too. They would have to have been massive, enormous to be seen so clearly if they were just these seagulls. So there was that difference. Down here, people were pointing out they were in different parts of the city. They filmed this one set of seagulls and then the ones on the news. A lot of stuff like that. And there was something else I thought I had here. I thought I had another video set up for that. I was going to show you on that. But anyway, Oh, I did. Is this it? Hold on. I know I've got something. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so yeah. So the guy I was just showing you, it's Mick West. And also, he's a professional, the guy's, he's an atheist and agnostic. Again, he doesn't have the eyes to see. He's a professional skeptic. So everything has an obvious explanation. And sometimes things do have an obvious explanation. But I believe the things I've seen over the last 14 years of looking into this stuff, that more and more strangeness, things we can't exactly explain, is coming through. That's just me. But down here, I wanted to show you this person's comment, and he never answered it. He's answered other ones, and this is from 2 years ago from the Real Little Soldier. He says, "Thanks for your work, brother, but adding an effect doesn't constitute your, quote, theory if it didn't naturally take place in the video. Second, the birds stay illuminated while the orbs faded out in the same light with no excuse after a short movement in the sky." As I was saying earlier, again, if you look at the two videos, if you watch birds and then these things side by side, they don't even move or act the same. The things, the orbs, if you will, the things in the sky, those things would come in and then disappear after a few seconds. And then maybe two more would appear and then come in and go out, So let me see. Second, the birds jet. Third, you have two different views, which gives two different lighting scenarios. The orbs have the camera and the city lights, and the birds have the main building lights from underneath. And finally, last, the objects move in two totally different manners. Birds gliding and orbs floating, arching, pivoting, and more. Blessings to all, and rethink what you're thinking sometimes. And the guy never answered that. But if I was going to leave a comment, that's the kind of comment I would leave, because that's the way I look at this stuff as well. So anyway, there you go. Again, I don't know everything, but we try to use all of our senses, right? Logic, reason, common sense, critical thinking, spiritual discernment. Sometimes we get tricked. It's a tricky world we're in. Again, I'm an editor. I understand there's things that can be faked and tricked. So you take everything into consideration when we watch this kind of footage. I'm rambling. I do that. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Here's another one. Minneapolis City Council unanimously votes to get rid of police. Yeah, we saw that earlier. Okay, there you go. See what happens. BL plus M website, defund the police. The donations actually go to Act Blue, which is the Biden for President campaign's top source of donations. Are we surprised? I am not. While the Biden campaign insists it doesn't support efforts to defund the police, it may happily profit from the BL plus M efforts and is complicit in taking money from an organization partnered with those spearheading the dangerous policy that has already taken root in Minneapolis, New York, and Los Angeles. After reaching the BLM homepage, which features a defund the police petition front and center, if a user chooses to donate, they're rerouted to a site hosted by Act Blue and prompted with the message, "We appreciate your support of the movement and our ongoing fight to end state-sanctioned violence, liberate Black people, and end white supremacy forever." Okay, whatever. Okay, there we go. We get it. We understand. I don't want to get too much into that because we get it. It's all crooked. And it's all coming apart right before our eyes, isn't it? It's all falling apart, which I actually like seeing. I like the truth coming out, even though it's ugly. Hopefully I've prepared enough people throughout the years, myself, and there's many others that do this kind of thing, to where we're not all so super surprised by what's happening now or what's coming. And that's not living and being negative. It's just being truly wide awake and aware on a spiritual tip, if you will, to maybe not understanding everything, maybe not knowing everything, but at least seeing what's happening and understanding the kind of season we're in. Brain dead mush for brains. Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin on Chaz. It is not terrorism, it's patriotism. And this reminds me of 1984 and Doublethink. Even how many years ago they when they talk about war, they call it the theater of war. Remember that? They switched that around a little bit on us. That's just one example of many. Or Antifa is a classic example. It stands for anti-fascist. Meanwhile, these people are killing people, burning businesses and homes down, hurting people, but they're anti-fascists. So how could you be against that? I mean, think about it, folks. Come on. 2 + 2 = 5. So Common Core teaches me. A lot of these little mush brains running around right now are Common Core raised. Why are we not surprised? I'm not. Seattle's Mayor Jenny Durkin is defending the anarchists, anagram for antichrist, anarchists, antichrist, anarchist, who have taken over the self-proclaimed Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, or CHAZ, saying that their actions are patriotic. Via the New York Post, Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin on Thursday defended the protesters who have declared an autonomous zone on the city's streets as patriotic. In her remarks to the press, Durkin also said President Trump's threat to send in federal forces to crack down on the protesters was unconstitutional and illegal. Unfortunately, our president wants to tell a story about domestic terrorists who have a radical agenda and are promoting a conspiracy that fits his law and order initiatives, Durkin said, according to Patch. I told y'all before in my videos in the past on Trump that they're setting him up to be the ultimate fall guy. Many of us see him as the last real president of America. But who's going to take his place? Who's going to take his place? What's it going to be? It seems more and more that Obama's coming back. Put it together and think about it. What all this is about bending a knee, getting on your knees, especially towards the black community, but getting on your knees for how evil you are, for your privilege. Bend a knee. And when I see that footage of all these people bending knees, man, it just gives me the creeps. I almost picture how close we are, perhaps, to the Antichrist being revealed. Perhaps it is Obama, the first black president, they said, and the world bends a knee to him. He'll lead us. He'll lead us to the new way. He understands. I'll show you some more on that here in a little while. Seattle police chief says RAPES and robberies are occurring in Chaz area and officers can't respond to them. Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best said violent crimes are occurring within the area of the city taken over by protesters, and officers are unable to respond quickly enough, if at all. Earlier this week, a group of anti-police protesters took control of a 6-block area of the city that's become known as the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, or CHAZ, which includes a police precinct. Officers surrendered the East Precinct and vacated the area. Best would not confirm who gave the order. Our calls for service have more than tripled, Best said. These are responses to emergency calls, RAPES, robberies, and all sorts of violent acts that have been occurring in the area that we're not able to get to. Let's see what this is all about.
Our 911 response times have tripled in the area. They've gone from just over 5 minutes to about 18 minutes. Our 911 response times have tripled in the area. They've gone from just over 5 minutes to about 18 minutes. Rapes, robberies, and all sorts of violent acts have been occurring in the area that we're not able to get to. So it is not right for us not to be able to deploy our officers here.
Chief Best spoke with protesters several times, and she and command staff evaluated the.
All right, I think that's all we get. That's fine.
Found someone did breach the facility.
There is some damage, and it clearly is a mess around here, so we need to do a lot of cleanup.
All right. There we go. There we go. We're going to see what happens. That is some really crazy stuff. If you don't know the full story, most of you probably do, but maybe you haven't heard. But a group of these anarchists took over an area in Seattle. They're calling it Chaz. It's supposed to be kind of their, a nation within a nation, if you will. This whole thing is so illegal and crazy, but of course they're being supported. And that's what we talked about a few months ago before all this stuff really popped off, is to watch these really liberal, if you will, or really leftist mayors and governors and really blue states, and just watch how more extreme it is. We really are seeing that dividing line even more clear. I've talked about for years. I always say I perceive as the sheep and the goats, or the wheat and the tares. But even with the red and the blue system they've set up in America, you see it even through that. Clearly dividing what they call the blue states, are the ones who really are pushing more totalitarianism, more chaos. And remember, these people, a lot of them don't care. It's the same thing with the celebrities. That's why they always back the anarchy and the chaos, because they have all the money they'll ever need. They're protected. They probably have bunkers, a lot of these people. So they're going to be good. They'll be a part of the wealthy class, like Hunger Games. They'll be the wealthy, fancy people with all the parties and the money. And then we'll be the ones competing in competitions to try to get a ham sandwich. I made this video a few years ago. I think I need to make maybe a part 2. I think I'll just call it first the statues and then the churches part 2. Because now we're back and this is getting a lot more extreme, and it's accelerating. I did that video maybe 2 years ago, I think. It's called First the Statues, Then the Churches. You can look it up, where it's more about the spirit of what's happening. And there's a history to destroying your history. We've seen a lot of fallen empires do this very thing. They need to destroy their history so they can create something new. Usually along with that comes a lot of people getting wiped out, to say it nicely. And then a lot of people being enslaved. So, good times, right? Not necessarily. Okay, let's check this out.
We start 13 News now at noon with breaking news. The statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee will no longer stand along Richmond's prominent Monument Avenue. Just moments ago, Governor Northam announced the removal of that statue. Brian Farrell standing by with details.
Yeah, Dan, a lot of people have been calling for that monument and others to be removed for years. Today, Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, Richmond Mayor LeVar Stoney, and a descendant of Robert E. Lee's family stood with Governor Northam to address people across the state. The governor ordered the Robert E. Lee statue to be moved off its pedestal and put into storage. He said that will happen as soon as possible. Northam's administration will work with the community to determine a new location. The statue was built in 1890. It's one of 5 Confederate statues on Monument Avenue. It was the first one put up after the Civil War, and it will come down now in the wake of protests demanding racial justice.
What do you say when...
And this guy, this is another one of those honk honk. This is Governor Northam, and he was caught in photos actually doing blackface many years ago. Barely made a blip on the mainstream. People tried to put it out there and get it out there, but whatever. And he's still seen as this, good, liberal man for the people who really cares. But he got caught doing blackface. You can look it up. Northam, Rtham. Governor Northam, I believe. Governor, not mayor, right? I think it's governor, Virginia.
A 6-year-old African-American little girl looks you in the eye and says, "What does this big statue mean? Why is it here?" When a young child looks up and sees something that big and prominent, she knows.
I can't even listen. These people's words mean nothing, really, to me. Most of them. Candace Owens mocks Democrats for patronizing black voters by wearing African garb. And I've showed you guys that picture. Let me see if there's a video here or something. I guess not. I was hoping there'd be like a short video. Sorry about that. Okay, my bad. We get it, though. It was total virtue signaling when all the senators, Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them, bent down on a knee for like 8.5 minutes, just to commemorate George Floyd. And they wore this African garb around their necks. I believe that's what Candace Owens was talking about there. I was going to talk about. I wish that this page would come in. I don't know why it's not. So let's jump to the next thing. Here we go. Turn this off. Pause the old ad blocker. Tech giants play God. Censor information contradicting World Health Organization. Yeah. No surprise there. Okay, let's check this out. Whole thing, I'd rather just kind of free speech and open communication between experts is one of the greatest tools for advancing scientific progress. Selectively choosing one side of a scientific argument while completely silencing the other is the perfect way to halt that progress. During the coronavirus pandemic, social media platforms such as Facebook and YouTube have been taking down content posted on their platforms that contradict the WHO or that they claim may cause imminent harm. Laughable. In January, the coronavirus began to sweep across the globe, so they said, quickly becoming the dominant focus of all social media and news platforms. During this time, WHO shared its guidance and opinion on how it believed we should deal with the virus. That opinion was not always helpful, which is absolutely true. All a part of the plan. Trust the plan, they say. According to multiple experts, the WHO's pro-China bias may have made the pandemic much worse than it could have been. Yeah. Regardless, whatever. It's not good information. It doesn't matter. It's all good. Regardless, YouTube CEO Lil Susan Wojcicki announced in a recent interview with CNN that YouTube would remove any content that contradicted the WHO or the NWO. Anything that would go against WHO recommendations would be a violation of our policy, and so remove is another really important part of our policy. Okay, cool. Got it. This limits the news and information that people who rely on social networks to get their news can see, while also not providing all the facts about the pandemic. True. On April 24th, Dan Erickson and Artin Masihi, two doctors from Bakersfield, California, held a news conference questioning the state's stay-at-home order. During the conference, they said their facilities had tested over 5,200 patients for the virus throughout their county and found that the death rate of coronavirus is similar to that of the flu. Erickson also argued that as testing continues, people can start going back to work and businesses can reopen. He also suggested that staying at home too long can actually be worse for people's health. I totally agree. And their mental health. I'm kind of a hermit, so I'm okay being alone for long periods of time, and it just goes along with what I do. But I know that's not the normal, and it's not good for most people to spend, way too much time away from others, talking to other people, connecting, getting a hug, just smiling at each other, shaking hands. I like that too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that sometimes I can go in these modes for up to a week of just kind of being here and being immersed in whatever videos I'm trying to put together or whatever show I'm trying to do. But it's enough about me. Let's get back to the news. Erickson also argued that as testing continues, we already said all that. 3 days after he said all of that we can reopen, 3 days later, KERO TV was informed that YouTube had taken down the video saying it violated community guidelines. YouTube isn't the only one limiting what people can share regarding the virus. Facebook's head of global policy management, Monica Bickert, told FartFeed, otherwise known as BuzzFeed, in an interview that we decided we would recommend content that directly contradicted the WHO and could contribute to risk of imminent physical harm. In other words, if someone were to make a post saying that wearing a mask is ineffective or social distancing doesn't work, Facebook removed that post. For a company that claims to not be the arbiter of truth, a move this bold reveals alternate motives. Of course, they can't even hide it anymore, all these people. Can't even hide it. Cartoon Network celebrates Pride Month with videos on LGBT families, kid activists. Ruh-roh. What you gonna do? Boop, boop, ba-doop. Let's see what this is. But we get the idea, Cartoon Network. And it's more of the rise of the rainbow children I've talked about. It really is. It's the rise of the rainbow children. It's even on some of the Denver airport murals where they have all the children gathered around the grave of a child, I believe, or is it like the death of was it a panther? I can't remember. Or a leopard. Anyway, there's an image on one of the murals with a bunch of children gathered around. I think it is a dead leopard, maybe. But they're in a rainbow, which is in the form of the brain. It's the rise of the rainbow children. It's the way I perceive it. It's me. Maybe I'm just cuckoo. I don't know. Disney pulls ads from Tucker Carlson's Fox News show after BLM protest coverage. Here we go. And then they came after Tucker Carlson. There's not many people on Fox News I'll even pay attention to, really, but I do like Tucker Carlson. I know some of you are like, oh, he's a shill, man. Because he actually worked at CNN years, like 20 years ago, or maybe 30 years ago. He worked at CNN a long time ago. And then he transferred over to Fox a long time ago. But that was a different CNN. That's before they were so obviously in the pocket of the Illuminati, if you will. The media calls it the deep state. The deep state's going to come get you. Mommy? Yeah. Something's under my bed. It's the deep state. Deep state's going to come get you. But it's that cancel culture, and they come after your money. And that's, they come after the way you're going to live. How are you going to survive? Or your careers. It's not just, oh, I hate those leftists. That's an antichrist spirit. It's just chaos and destruction. Steal, kill, and destroy. That's what that is. T-Mobile CEO tweets, bye-bye, Tucker Carlson, after pulling ads from his show over racial views. Fox News host Tucker Carlson is once again facing an exodus of advertisers, this time from companies who appear to have no qualms about thumbing their noses at the truth. Take the mobile carrier T-Mobile, which has been accused of operating electronic sweatshops. After being confronted on Twitter this week by extremists at the left-wing propaganda group Sleeping Giants over recent remarks made by Carlson, the carrier revealed that it no longer advertises on his program. All right, let's check it out. Let's see what this is all about. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Central to the life prospects of children. They try to make black neighborhoods as safe as their own neighborhoods. They would close the payday lenders that had so much misery to the lives of poor people of all colors. But they don't even consider doing any of this. They don't even try. Instead, they encourage theft and mayhem as if that will help. It will not help. This may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it is definitely not about Black lives. And remember that when they come for you, and at this rate, they will. Anyone who's ever been subjected to the rage of the mob knows the feeling. It's like being swarmed by hornets. You cannot think clearly. And the temptation is to panic, but you can't panic. You've got to keep your head and tell the truth. Tell the truth. If you show weakness of any kind, they will crush you. Ask Drew Brees. By some accounts, poor Drew Brees is on his fourth apology for the crime of defending the American flag. He decided to apologize. Now they're using him as a propaganda organ, hostage tape after hostage tape. At a moment like this, there is no advantage in cowardice, in being Mitt Romney. You think you're saving yourself. You're just empowering the worst people who hate you. Before you know it, you're confessing to crimes you didn't commit. Don't start. Tell the truth. And the truth is, this is a good country.
Okay, I thought I was going to talk about the advertisers leaving him. My bad. Sorry. All right, whatever. Let's move on. Next. Trust me, there's a lot. I told you to buckle up. I'm being for real. Okay? Get ready for a trip. Former advisor to Steve Jobs says Facebook is destroying the very fabric of human relationships. During a question and answer session at the 2020 CogX conference, Joanna Hoffman was asked about the cult of leadership within Silicon Valley. As I look at Facebook, for example, I keep thinking, are they really that ignorant? Or is this motivated by something darker than what appears, she says. Hoffman went on to accuse Facebook of, quote, destroying the very fabric of democracy, destroying the very fabric of human relationships, and peddling in an addictive drug called anger, unquote. You know, it's just like tobacco. It's no different than the opioids, she added. We know anger is addictive. We know we can attract people to our platform and get engagement if we get them pissed off enough. So therefore, what we should capitalize on that each and every time? While Hoffman was talking about Facebook and much of the same charges could be made against Twitter. Twitter has become a monstrous echo chamber of historical nonsense controlled by outrage mobs who abuse the platform to threaten criminal acts, as well as intimidating, doxing, and attempting to ruin people's lives for the sin of holding an alternate opinion. Much criticism of social media is framed in the context of its threat to democracy, despite the fact that both Twitter and Facebook are more censorious than ever, with the overwhelming target being conservatives and anyone who offends woke jihadists. Okay. Got it. Lady Antebellum changes band name in support of racial equality. Bend that knee. Bend it. The Grammy-winning country music band Lady Antebellum announced Thursday that it is changing its name to Lady A in support of racial equality. This is a huge move for the black community. Can you feel it? The country pop trio said the decision to change its name came after much personal reflection and honest conversations with some of our closest black friends. The members said they named their band after the antebellum-style home where their first photo shoot took place. They said it reminded them of all the music born in the South that influenced them. Despite the well-intentioned naming of the band, they said they were embarrassed they neglected the connotations connected with the word. I didn't even know there was connotations, but that's me. I don't know much. We are regretful and embarrassed to say that we did not take into account the associations that weigh down this word, referring to the period of history before the Civil War, which includes slavery. We are deeply sorry for the hurt this has caused, the band said in a statement on Twitter. How dare you? How dare you? You better change that name. New undercover video suggests super rich lefties funding extremists. Dun, dun, dun. It's Project Veritas. You know, these are always fun. All right, check this out. It speaks for itself.
For a grant from Soros at one point a long time ago. We actually did get a grant from them. There is going to be a need for thousands of people and then millions to come into the streets.
He's trying to become Steyer. We've been talking to his assistant. We're meeting with his main advisor on impeachment. I think he has political ambitions that he may actually want to not be directly connected in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York. This at a certain point dominates the national news. It's very disruptive for.
Last week, we released video of New York Antifa-like group Refuse Fa, short for Refuse Fascism, training people how to poke people's eyes out and reframing assault as self-defense.
Yeah, so if that doesn't knock him out, then yeah, the nose, the eye, poke the eyes with the other day. We just kind of want to, in the States, reframe the idea of self-defense as not simply you're being acted upon by an aggressor, but it's a kind of a decision you make to fight back. In a lot of ways to say, I'm human and I occupy the space and I'll be not.
Now today, we unmask undercover footage of their national organizer, the national organizer for Refuse Fascism, and we release footage that suggests who might even be funding their militant operation.
The ultimate vision is for people to break with their comfort and come into the streets day after day, night after night, in the hundreds of thousands until the millions, and not leave until they have to step down. The thing about this is that we see that this is not going to happen for normal channels because we are living in abnormal times. And the way we see this is that there is going to be a need for thousands of people and then millions to come into the streets and demand that the Trump-Pence regime must go. We did apply for a grant from Soros at one point a long time ago when I was doing more abortion rights and defending clinics. We actually did get a grant from them around, we started a thing called the National Day of Appreciation for Abortion Providers. Contributing money look, we are not going to reach millions without millions. That's just straight up. We are not going to do it. We need millions of dollars to reach millions of people. You know, if you can get a meeting with either one of those, Sarah Taylor or Andy Z, it would be a very important experience in your life.
We're trying to make it Tom Steyer.
And what?
Right now, I don't know if he took the meeting today. We're meeting with his main advisor on impeachment. And they kind of, I don't know who that is. It's somebody.
That's kind of a big deal. I mean,
we're meeting. We've been talking to his assistant. He first said he was going to meet, then he got busy. He made the announcement. Tom Steyer's been retweeting some of our stuff.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to want it. I think he has, this is only me speaking based on reading newspapers from New York. I think he has political ambitions.
Well, yeah, there's always been the rumor he's going to run for governor.
That he may actually want to not be directly connected.
It's not just Soros and Steyer who may have interest in groups like Refuse FA and Antifa. It's also our friends in Silicon Valley.
Going to be meeting with him because he's donated. His money's not part of the 80,000, but he's donated over 50,000. We have other people who donated 10,000. So actually, you're not first. But you're not first, but you are first. And that if we could have right now $15,000, which is not very much money extra, this $15,000, what I've learned on this tour is we should have 3 of these tours going out to campuses. I met with the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They're the main people fighting on net neutrality and all this stuff. The Frontier what? Electronic Frontier Foundation. Okay. It's the main organization that fights for internet privacy, net neutrality. It's a major organization. Farrell, and these are major figures in the arts and sciences who are definitely not okay. And you'll see there's people, Hillary campaign people that refuse fascism, because they see the demand. You have to create a kind of demand from below.
For what?
The kind of demand from below. The Trump-Pence regime, let's go.
Yeah.
Where there's
the abolition.
Yeah, where there's the kind of situation that did exist in South Korea, where the society itself is both a serious crisis in that, just imagine if, let's put millions aside for a second, that there was 10 to 50,000 people demonstrating in just those 5 cities, which if they were demonstrating there, I can tell you from history, it would be spreading like wildfire every storm. That number of people who were protesting, at first maybe every week and then every 3 days and then every other day, where people were coming after work and the streets were flooded every night from 5 o'clock till 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was probably among younger people there'd be a few thousand who stayed overnight. And this was happening in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York. This at a certain point dominates the national news. This is just cities are in a certain sense non-violent demonstrations, but that's still very disruptive force. That has international repercussions. Look at what's happening in the U.S.
There we go. There we go. We know that this is beyond just a pandemic. I mean, the entire thing is rolling out. The entire plan is rolling out layer by layer. CBS cheers art displays, street fair-like atmosphere of Seattle Autonomous Zone. So this is the way mainstream is going to cover this right here. Hey, man, it's a good time. Oh, it's not such a big deal.
Zone has turned into an almost street fair-like atmosphere with free food, art displays, and outdoor movie nights. But there have been some reports of armed people patrolling the streets in lieu of police. Demonstrators have renamed the building the Seattle People's Department.
This also is our building, as we paid for this, and we paid for their works, and everything that they do is supposed to benefit the people.
Ruh-roh. So, like, we should just have it. What'd you do to earn it again? Like, my taxes, man. Do you work? No, man, I'm not a slave. Ignorant leftists fuming at racism vandalize statue of abolitionists, spray paint murderer and colonizer on pedestal. First the statues, then the churches. As protesters have beheaded, toppled, and vandalized statues and monuments across America this week in their fury over racism and George Floyd's death, the righteously indignant managed to expose their pitiful lack of knowledge by defacing the statue of an abolitionist in Philadelphia. Yes, some crew of comrades decided to score big left-wing points by tossing red paint on the Matthias Baldwin statue outside City Hall, and further demonstrated their ignorance by spray painting murderer and colonizer on the pedestal. There's the picture. So another one. Rioters in Philly deface a statue of Matthias Baldwin, an early abolitionist who fought against slavery 30 years before it ended. And that's what he gets for it. The idiocracy. The honk, honk. Honk, 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 honk. Honk, honk. That's what it is. There we go. Okay, cool. Ruled by morons. Get rid of the police first, though. Warlord Raz of Seattle Autonomous Zone claims total control. Says he speaks with mayor's office daily. Just... One of the movies, I went to film school. I'm a writer. It's how it all started with me many years ago. I still write just private stuff, but I went to film school because I wanted to be a writer, director of horror and science fiction movies. And one of the movies that motivated me the most and really inspired me the most as a little kid, I was real little when I saw this. And even then it was in reruns, I think. I can't remember the exact year I saw this. But I remember it had a big impact on me. My dad loved science fiction and horror, and he would watch stuff all the time back then on Cinemax or HBO or Showtime, the early years of that stuff, I guess, and find these crazy movies. But I watched Escape from New York. It's a John Carpenter movie featuring Kurt Russell. And wow, what a cool, great movie. I mean, it just really blew my mind as a kid, and it really set me on that kind of trajectory there, I think. And then I got into David Lynch many years later. His just kind of his style. He's a really interesting character, that David Lynch he is. All right, let's continue, shall we? The Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, otherwise known as CHAZ, was set up a few days ago with the aim of creating a communist utopia in the heart of Seattle. However, it's been taken over by Raz Simone, who's been dubbed the Black George Zimmerman and is acting like a warlord, extorting businesses for protection money. A recent community meeting was live streamed where people in the CHAZ could bring up their quibbles and ask questions of Raz and others. One resident at the meeting, although supportive of the fantastic experiment, in quotes, and another one in quotes, great opportunity, that is Seattle CHAZ, he still had some initial concerns about the project. He says, I don't want to step on the greater message that is the vital importance in hand, but as the people that live in this area that is now being called the Autonomous Zone, there's some real day-to-day nuts and bolts things that we need answered as well. There's deliveries for the businesses. Some businesses can't fit delivery trucks in, so we do need. But yeah, those are just real concerns. And when you try to ask these questions, there's nobody there to help us. So it's about opening that dialogue. And that's what the whole idea is, because it's all very new still. Responding to him, Warlord Raz, you got to love it, thanked the man for his voice and declared that he is actually in contact with the local authorities who have accepted that he is now running things. He says, "You have my number, email, and that is one of our biggest concerns. I've been having meetings with fire department and even the mayor's assistant every morning at like 5 a.m., something like that, 7 a.m., something like that. They're all calling my number." Of course, they had to put that in, though, either way. They're all calling my number and then trying to bring as many people out here as possible. Usually there's like 12 or 8 people. And then we can have a conversation about what we can do and how we can help. Oh, Raz. You little stinker. Raz said that the collective does not want to be a nuisance to anyone, although they think that everyone has the right to be. We understand that you're here and we want to respect you as well, Raz continued. I like to be a respectful person, just period. So communicate with us. It doesn't have to be an issue. And we're trying to find solutions at this point. He says.
I want to support what you're doing here. I think it's a fantastic experiment. I look forward to seeing what you do with this great opportunity. And I don't want to step on the greater message that is of vital importance at hand. But as the people that live in this area that is now being called the autonomous zone, there's some real just day-to-day nuts and bolts things that we need answered as well. There's deliveries for the businesses. Some businesses can't get delivery trucks in. So we do need... Okay, well, all right, okay, no worries. Sure, yeah, understood. But yeah, so those are just real concerns. And then when we try to ask these questions, it's them. There's nobody there to help us. And so now we're just starting and opening that dialogue. And that's what the whole idea is to figure this out now, because this is all very new still, right? I mean, time feels like it's been going on forever, but this has only been a day or so.
Thank you for your voice. Brother, what's your name? I had a conversation with you. That's like a 40-minute conversation. Cam, yeah. We're here. We had that conversation. You know my name. You have my number, email.
All right. I was hoping to see a little footage here. Let's see if there's some footage of this warlord. He's a warlord, they call him. I'm not seeing it.
So I want you all to really take a moment.
I don't think that's him either. Oh, well, whatever. Okay, we tried. Moving on. Let's move on. Blue checks. Blue checks. Those are people who are verified on Twitter, I believe. The blue checks. I was never verified. I think I never even got my check mark on YouTube after all these years. Blue checks now criticizing President Trump for abbreviating the Secret Service as SS. It says, can we just have one day where blue checks don't overreact to something Trump tweets? Today's outrage, President abbreviated Secret Service as SS. I saw this tweet before this story. I kind of looked it up and then here it's twitchy. I found it, but I don't know if that's a good move. And he's such a troll. Makes me think he's probably trolling. I don't know. But then he's also coming to my home state where I'm currently at, the Midwest, we'll say. Most of you know where I am anyway, the area, or the state. But, he's coming to Oklahoma. Oh, there it is. But really, he's coming to Oklahoma. He's going to be here next Friday. It's going to be his first rally since the lockdown. And I actually went online and reserved a ticket. So I actually have a ticket to go. And it's only a few hours away from me. So my plan is I may actually go and experience this thing firsthand next Friday. So that means I'll do the show probably Saturday or Sunday, the next What Happened show. And like I said, this week there's other things coming up. 2 other live shows and also a video this week. So yeah, it wouldn't be a big deal pushing What Happened back just a couple days and going and checking this out. I mean, why not? I've never been to a president rally or whatever, convention, whatever this thing is. he's such a character. He's just such a character. And these times are so interesting. And why not? So right now I'm thinking I may actually do this. I could just drive out there, maybe even get a hotel, maybe a little further away in case there's some, I don't want my vehicle getting destroyed or anything. We'll see. But that's kind of where I'm thinking right now. I might actually do it. Are any of you going to go? Anybody else out there planning on actually attending this thing? I don't know. But I don't know. The SS, is that more of a troll? I'm not sure. I mean, the Antichrist system is going to be very much SS or very much associated with that Nazi ideology. And of course, all the mainstream and everything else, celebrities, movies, TV shows right now, are all telling us that that's what Trump is. That he's the one. He's the one. He's the Nazi. He's the SS. He's the one. But then when the real system comes in, that's going to be the real control grid, the real Nazi type system. But it's going to be from people that we've been programmed for years to think are the quote liberals, or the ones that love us. They're out for the people. You dig. Okay, new UFO video. By the way, shout out to Mavi777. I showed you about 3 weeks ago, I think, his last post, which was a community post. And it seemed he was kind of upset because they probably demonetized him. They demonetized me about a month ago. They're demonetizing a lot of channels right now. And they've always been after the UFO channels for the last couple of years. I remember when that first started and they started going after all the UFO channels and paranormal channels and stuff. So we've lost a lot of those channels as well throughout the years that were really good. But I was really liking Mavi77. We still have Hidden Underbelly 2.0 and Grim Reaper. It's another one. Find some pretty cool stuff. But and I look for my own. All you have to do is go on YouTube search, even though the search sucks on there, but put in UFO very simply, press go, then go to the settings and set for this past week. You may have to scroll down like several pages because there's always going to be mainstream stuff up there that doesn't even matter. But eventually you'll start finding all the uploads that have been popping up over the last week. Even the ones that popped up that day, and people who just film stuff, find it, and they put it up on YouTube. And that's one of the ways you find all this stuff. Anyway, hopefully you care about that. This is from Zeal Daily Paranormal YouTube channel, UFOs in Mexico, June 9th, 2020. We'll watch some of this. To finish my thought on Mavi, though, he hasn't uploaded since. He just basically quit. And he was a really good, is the word aggregator, like UFO video aggregator. But he was one of those channels that would collect all the footage throughout a week or so, and then he'd do a compilation video and just share a bunch, and always did a really good job of it. But it looks like, and I've talked about this in the past with all the stuff that happens with YouTube, and that's why we've lost so many great truth type channels or paranormal, UFO type channels, or just interesting channels, things outside the mainstream. A lot of people were getting used to making a living on this, and then they took that away, and some people just gave up right there. The second they take that away, the second they demonetize you, some people just give up. There's a channel called Hedgehog that was getting really big there. They were monetized, getting pretty big, kind of a Jason A knockoff, if you know who Jason A is. And they got demonetized, and they put out a statement, and then the next week they turned into a video game channel where they just showed footage of video games. Completely changed their game. But No pun intended, but that goes to show you also kind of the heart with some of these people. This whole thing, this last 4 years of YouTube's constant purges and changes and everything else, it really has shown the heart of the people that are in this, and who's in it for the right reasons, who really cares, who's going to fight, who's going to go get a job if they have to for a while to make ends meet, but still produce. Maybe not as much. I've done that 3 times myself. A lot of others have done that out there. Some people were smarter than me and figured out a way to, monetize other things before I did. I don't know, but whatever, man. I'm just glad to still be here, and that's all thanks to you guys. So enough about me. Let's watch this UFO video for a few more seconds. Could be a drone, right? It's kind of like in the shape of the drone, maybe. That might be a drone. Maybe that's a drone. I'm not sure. Let's see what people are saying. Anybody? Oh, Terry's Theories. He does good. Okay, maybe not a drone. Just those throwing out the possibility. Well, here's another one. Guy says, I think it's a drone. I don't know. Interesting, though. Here's another one that's interesting. Really cool. UFO sighting at night. Strange objects dart across BC, which I believe is British Columbia, which is in Canada, which is the only place I've ever been in Canada. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard. My first tour was in Kodiak Island, Alaska, and I worked in the Bering Sea. It was kind of our work area, mostly, and we also worked on the Aleutian Chain, the peninsula, and we built shore aids for navigation. Out in the Bering, we would pull buoys up on our boat, and all the chain and the sinkers that are attached to them that sit on the ocean floor. Work on the chains, work on the electronics. I mean, it was a hardcore job. It's a whole other story altogether. But we wound up doing a trip down to San Diego for 3 months. We were down there. It was called TISTA, TSTA, and it was drills we did with the Navy for 3 months while we were in San Diego. It was a great trip. I could write a book on that trip. So much happened, not even related to the military, just running around in San Francisco and Berkeley, and just our experiences we had and the people we met. It was just such a crazy time. But on the way down there from Kodiak, we stopped off in British Columbia. We were there for like 4 days, and just a really beautiful, beautiful place. Anyway, enough about me. Let's check out this UFO video. Oh, they put in the scary music too. I don't know. What do you? I mean, it looks like fire falling down, or I mean, it looks like that might be, I don't know, somebody with a glider or a parachute or something, and a little rocket thing behind it, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. But I thought that when I watched this earlier that it turned into multiple orbs. Maybe I'm wrong. So yeah. Now on that, maybe that could be like some kind of a light show, perhaps, right? Maybe. No, it looks like there's 3, 4. See, they're popping up out of nowhere. Okay, now I see. That's why I wanted to show you this one. See, there's multiple ones kind of popping up. And then some, looks like they're a trail falling behind, but I believe these things are transformers and shapeshifters. I mean, I see the possibility in that, but from that angle, maybe, is that just somebody on some kind of a glider or something? Sparks, kind of a fireworks show behind him. This one I'm not sure about. I don't know. But I thought it was cool. Here is something I saw somebody post. This is a Martin Luther King, MLK. Never burned one building, never robbed one store, never destroyed one town. Changed the world. Exactly. Texas homeschool families take back their public park and defy orders to leave as police back down. Daniel McAdams writes about how his family and a group of about 35 people, who are all homeschool families in Texas, took their children to the local park to enjoy the fresh air and sunshine, and tore down police tape that tried to prevent them from using a public park. They knew that neither the police nor anyone else had any legal authority to close the park or rope it off like that. 2 police came and asked them to leave, and they responded the way every person in the U.S. should respond to such crown virus edicts that have no legal authority. They stood their ground and refused to leave. They even rebuked the officer who asked them if they were anti-vaxxers, as if that had anything to do with playing in the park. The police did not dare arrest such a large group, especially with mothers holding their babies in their arms. So after conferring with the chief of police, they concluded that they could stay. What a great lesson for these homeschooled children on how to stand up against tyranny. Now, if we could just get the rest of the country to follow their example, we could get this economy up and running again very quickly. Tyrants need a compliant public to get their way. So what are you waiting for, America? Does liberty mean anything to you anymore? So this person says. All right, cool. Got it. Okay, here's something cool. I thought this was good. Again, it's about framing the narrative. The narrative right now, it really is that black versus white bad, take a knee, da-da-da. But as I've said, and other people are saying, here's an example. Let's frame this more in a spiritual sense as far as where's Jesus in all of this? Where's Christ in all of this? Oh, okay, we see. Let's frame it more towards that. That's the only way we're ever going to really solve these issues, which the system itself is constantly fanning the flames of and creating more problems with. But that's the only way we're going to stop seeing through those worldly eyes of color, black, white, brown, whatever, or privilege, or where you come from, or the money you have, or whatever. We get beyond that, and we look at each other as brothers and sisters in Christ. Right? That's the answer. Anyway, let's check this out. Hey, I'm no Joel Osteen over here, all right? I'm no John Hagee. I'm just saying.
I'm praying to the Holy Spirit to put words on my mouth right now. And I want a nation to hear me. We need the fear of God. Mr. President, you're the only Republican I've ever voted for. And I don't just say that to make you feel good. Honestly, that's not my goal, man. I'm saying that because you stood up for the word of God. And as believers, as the church, we have to pray for our president and have his back. When you raise that Bible up after those folks burnt that church, we are in a spiritual warfare. That's right. We cannot fight this battle with flesh and blood. We cannot fight this battle with politics. You cannot politicize oppression. I grew up right down the street. I looked at skinheads in the eye at 13 years old. My black father went to a KKK rally to protect me. I know what racism is. So when I hear words get thrown out about white supremacy, it eats me up. Because these men are white supremacists. That's not what they look like. I'm telling black kids across America right now, we always hear we don't have black leaders. Look at this table.
All right. How was that? And there's that. And then there's this. Okay, this one was fun because I've shown footage of this in the past. It's another one of those anomalies that people seem to be catching with their cameras, and this has happened all over the world. I've seen 5 examples of this myself throughout the years. Again, is it somebody's CGI? Is it this? Is it that? Is it da-da-da? Is it teens? I don't know, man. You decide. Okay, I'll let you take a look at this one in particular. You decide. But again, there's several examples of this kind of an anomaly that I've seen throughout the years myself. You can look it up. But it's this it's a situation that some people have seen and claim to have filmed where planes in midair seem to have frozen as everything else around it is moving. You know, people driving down the interstate like this person in this TikTok video, and they film these planes that seem to be suspended in midair and not even moving. I've seen it before. Other examples, I can't verify it. I don't know. What do you think? But it's one of those little rabbit holes. If you're interested, I always like to throw these fun rabbit holes out. Many of you have already been down it. Some of you haven't. But start looking it up, and that's footage of these planes that seem to be suspended in midair. All right, so I'll play this out. This is from the YouTube channel Disclose Screen, the Grim Reefar. All right, check this out.
Like Snapchat, you can add filters, emojis, captions, and add your own music. Everybody I've spoken to says you cannot edit a video like this on TikTok. This looks as real as the moment it was captured, I'm being told. So I'm still left with more questions trying to figure this one out. So now is the right time to upload it, as I've hit a brick wall trying to debunk this. I've also been informed that if a user does edit a video such as add music or captions or filters, it tells you that the user has done so. And this particular video shows nothing has been added to the original video, and even the audio is the original audio, as you can see here. So let's take a look at this. It was filmed and uploaded by Dylan Polly on the 6th of October 2019. Can anybody make any sense of this? Neo, we have a glitch in the Matrix. Here's the video.
Yo, what the fuck? Yo, is this plane moving? This plane is staying fucking still, dude. What the fuck? Yo, what the fuck? Yo, is this plane moving? This plane is staying fucking still, dude. What the fuck? Yo, what the fuck? Yo, is this plane moving? This plane is staying fucking still, dude. What the fuck?
Sorry about the language. I should have warned you. I'm playing it in slow motion. I don't know, man. What do you guys think? We'll play it. A couple more times here. Again, if you're interested, another one of those weird anomalies, kind of like that creature, the cryptid that some people call the rake. It's been filmed 5 or 6 times. Looks like a pure white-skinned humanoid, bald humanoid. Face looks kind of a skull-type structure. To me, this reminds me of one of those kind of rabbit holes. You can run down and just take a look, and is it real? Is it? What do you think? But decide for yourself. Really research stuff. If you see one thing being debunked, don't just say, well, it's all garbage. No, keep looking. There's always going to be somebody saying this isn't right, or that's, or whatever. Sometimes they're right, okay, but a lot of times they're wrong, and people immediately just want to accept it because they don't want to have to think that, oh my gosh, what the heck's going on here? My reality is being smashed into pieces. For whatever reason, some people don't like their realities being smashed into pieces. Here's another one from Disclose Screen, the Grim Reefar from June 9th, 3 days ago. Very interesting footage here, to say the least. It says ghost of a recent rioter. And we'll take a look at some of the UFO videos. I think there's a good one over there too. So check this out. This is broadcast live during the DC protests.
That's what we do here at Disclose Screen. We show the weirdest videos that are always up for debate. This first one was captured by Dr. Rabbit on Twitter of a live news broadcast of the riots in DC, I believe, and he just titles it, "What the fuck was that walking by?" It's only a short clip, and at first glance you will think it's just someone walking past the camera, but the more you look at it, the stranger it seems. A couple of people have suggested it's a Palladian casually strolling by the camera during these riots. Another suggests it's a ghost of a recently deceased rioter. And the more we slow it down, it does seem like this figure has inflicted wounds. But surely this has got to be some kind of camera glitch. Take a look.
So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here in immediate staging, and up the street I see several more, all in anticipation of what promises to be a very lively here, Shannon. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here in immediate staging, and up the street I see several more, all in anticipation of what promises to be a very lively.
That's a trip, isn't it? With today's technology, sure, somebody could create something like that, but apparently this was filmed live as this guy was watching it. Maybe somebody that worked at the station created it for whatever reason, or maybe it's a real anomaly. I don't know. What do you think about that? That looks goofy. I don't know what that is. Excuse me, check this out.
What the hell is this thing doing? Alright. This is strange, yo. Accidentally hit stop.
Sky serpent, perhaps? They've been filming these things for years, especially down in Mexico. And there's a whole mythology with flying serpents. I did a video on that way back in 2014. I guess I could update it because there's been so much footage of these kinds of anomalies in the sky, especially in Mexico. Quetzalcoatl, for one. Some people, though, they just say it's all balloons. Or maybe it's seagulls. There's a long history of these things being recorded, though. This is actually older footage, I think. I think I may have seen this one. Here's another one, though. There you go. Is it just a bunch of balloons? Or is it connected to all these cave drawings and ancient art we've seen for many, 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 many moons about these flying serpents in the sky? Here's another crazy one. This is another one. Disclosed screen. Grim Reaper. From, this is older, but still, I thought I'd, wait. Oh, I don't know. I didn't realize this is that much older. It's May 27th, so a couple of weeks old, but whatever. I thought it was interesting. Let's check this out for a little bit. Just a little bit of this footage. What do you think that could be? Keep the camera on the UFO there, son. Calm down. Interesting, huh? It looks like a goat, doesn't it? It looks like the Baphomet. The black image, it looks like the Baphomet. Now it looks like it's shape-shifting. It's like spikes coming out of a pyramid structure, two pyramids connected at their base. I don't know, but now it looks back to, now it's like an upside, right side up star. Not saying that's what those are, represents Baphomet. I don't know. It's just the way I kind of saw it from the get-go. There you go. What do you think? In Brazil. Okay, now we're getting into some really fun stuff. This is uploaded on June 8th, just 4 days ago, from our friend the Hidden Underbelly 2.0. A fantastic capture. Here's another one of those anomalies I've been following for probably a year and a half now. I did a video on this specific type of UFO. I think I just called it, "Is This the Grim Reaper?" or something just kind of random like that at the time. It was a shorter video than what I usually do, maybe just 5-6 minutes long. But it was a quick compilation of all the times that this particular type of UFO have been filmed. It's been filmed multiple occasions. And it's described by some people that watch it as a mist, like a black mist. It's even leaving kind of a vapor trail behind it. So this was just filmed a few days ago. If our friend is here, hopefully he'll say hi to you guys in the chat room if he's here. The Hidden Underbelly 2.0, thank you for sharing this. I'm going to have to do an updated video pretty soon on this thing. Here's the deal. Do you remember the last video I did? I shared some of that footage. Two different people that were filming this in Texas of these. They sound like banshee-type screams from the sky during this crazy electrical storm, lightning storm. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but just my mind goes to this. When I first saw that footage, and this is last week when I made that video and put it together, which I've been working on for a while. It's a long video. If you haven't seen it, it's like over an hour. But in that one, in my head, I was like, well, I wonder if that could be connected to the black smoke monster from Lost we've actually have footage of, you know, flying around all over the world, not just in America. Again, this has been filmed on multiple occasions. What if? What if that's Satan's spirit waiting to go into Obama or some other character? I don't know. I'm not saying that's what it is, but let's drift in thought together. All right, let's check this out. Flight from Phoenix to Portland.
This was filmed March 2019. So although it's over a year old, this has just been posted. And the person who posted it just wants some answers as to what this could be.
Okay, so now let me show you the other thing. So, okay, good footage. There we go. Fairly recent, I guess a year ago. I'm still looking for more footage on these things, though. I feel it's going to come out. But now check this out. This is from March 2018. The one he just showed us was from March of 2019. It's like a year after this. But check this out. I believe we're looking at the same thing. And this is some of the most incredible footage I've seen. What kind of a... Is that a spaceship? You really think that's a spaceship? What could this be? Let's check this out.
Carrie, what is that?
Holy crap.
Carrie, what is that? What is that?
We get it. They made funny. But with all jokes aside, I mean, look at this. It comes up, and then it turns, and it does a 90 degrees shift. And then it flies out with simple. Those are vapor trails, some people say. But what if this is a spiritual manifestation? Just like the things we've been programmed with for years. Literally like a black, smoky type presence. A shapeshifter, the shadow man, the hat man. It can be anything it wants to be. I don't know. I'm just saying, what if? So there you go. There we have it. If you guys ever see footage of something like that and it's out there, but especially new stuff, please let me know. Hit me up. You know, just drop me a line, whatever. But let me see that footage, please. Teen Vogue praises Antifa for creating a better world. Ruh-roh. Inverted world, man. Look at this. Inverted world. This is fascism right before your face. Fascism, good. Law and order, bad. Even though law and order has its issues. We call it law and order. But here in America, it's not always perfect. This is true. However, we don't have violence and madness in the streets and buildings being burned down and people being hurt. Okay, we do sometimes, but not as much as I believe would happen with these types of people, this energy, this spirit in charge overall, beyond white, brown, or black. It's spiritual, you know. Teen Vogue, a veritable leftist training manual for young women in America, has penned yet another love letter to Anfarta, the militant extreme left anti-fascist organization. Insert sarcasm. While civil disobedience over the police death of George Floyd continues nationwide, several pockets of protests have descended into lawlessness and violence. First-hand accounts, as well as press statements from city and state officials around the country, all point to a common factor in the escalation of protests: outsiders. In other words, Anfarta has allegedly bust in from out of town, co-opted peaceful protests, and begun smashing windows, burning buildings, and going on looting sprees that would make the Vikings proud. But to those who scrape their political information from Teen Vogue for whatever reason, Anfarta is basically a Boy Scout troop in riot gear. Anfarta grows out of a larger revolutionary politics that aspires towards clearing a better world, or creating a better world. But the primary motivation is to stop racists from organizing. That's in quotes. A tweet from the publication reads, introducing the article. It's from Teen Vogue. Some more of this madness. There you go. People bending a knee. Just wanting to bend a knee. Speaking of bending a knee, this is on Tahir Quayam's channel. And hundreds of white people get on ground and renounce their white privilege during the death of, or after, because of the death of Floyd George, June 3rd, 9 days ago. But let's watch this. Get on your knees.
About racism, anti-blackness, or violence.
Masonic prose.
I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible. And do everything in my power to educate my community. I will love my black neighbors the same as my white ones.
I will love my black neighbors the same as my white ones.
Anti-blackness or violence.
And that's not to be mean, but a lot of times this authoritarianism comes in the shape of, you know, somebody who's effeminate or soft, or they appear weak, but they crave bloody, vicious power. We saw that in Hunger Games, another great example. All the men in the upper echelon were very effeminate in their own way, and they dressed fancy and had special wigs and makeup, and you know, these people were bloodthirsty as well. They were killers or psychopaths.
But they come very soft and sweet, and I'm not going to hurt you. You can trust me. Let's disband the police department. We'll rule it ourselves.
1 month later, full-on chaos and destruction, if a month later, I guess. Okay, we don't need to watch that again. We get it. Get on your knees, people. Economic destruction from riots and looting will hit minorities hardest. Just a headline I wanted to share from the Examiner. 10th protest turns emotional as 60 North Carolina police kneel. They get on their knees before the protesters. This is from June 2nd, so just over a week ago, but I missed it last week. Let's check this out. I gotta love the emotional music they put to it. I mean, I'm great with giving a hug, great handshake, whatever, going over and talking to somebody, being cool, kind, civil, loving. But you don't take a knee to people. You don't do that. You just don't take a knee. But this is beyond that. And they make it a racist thing. If you don't take a knee, you're a racist. We're already seeing that dialogue in some of that narrative. That's why it's a dangerous thing. But this is not good to me. This is not beautiful. And once again, they're not connecting it in the spiritual sense, as we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. It's I give my power to you. I am sorry. Forgive me. Forgive me. I'm on my knees for you. On my knees. NBA announcer Grant Napier placed on leave for tweeting "All Lives Matter." Madness. Again, this stuff. Sacramento Kings play-by-play announcer Grant Napier was placed on administrative leave by his radio station Monday after tweeting "All Lives Matter," a controversial phrase associated with belittling the BL+M movement. Okay, there you go. You're not thinking correctly, sir. You're not allowed to think that way now. We will take your career. We will destroy your job. Walmart will no longer put multicultural beauty products in locked areas. Walmart confirmed on June 10th that it will no longer keep multicultural hair care and beauty products in locked areas inside of any of its stores. The policy change was first reported by Tori Mason, a journalist with the CBS affiliate in Denver, and confirmed by NBC News. The announcement comes after Mason shared a video of a shopper in Walmart's hair care aisle where products geared towards black women were locked behind a glass case, while shampoos and conditioners for predominantly white women were not. Let's check this out.
White privilege also extends to hair care products, apparently. White privilege also extends to hair care products, apparently, in Walmart. Over here, if I want Suave or Tresemme or Pantene, it's out. But apparently, the multicultural hair care is all locked behind the glass, because I bet you think we're just going to run up in here and steal it. That's so ridiculous.
Well, I couldn't see the footage on that, but all right, there you go. More of that. That's divisive stuff. Owner shares photo of her dog sitting like a weirdo, and it's adorable. This could be deemed a doom break, perhaps. Let's take a look at this. Hopefully the video is going to load today. Let's move on down. A dog owner who shared a photo of her pet sitting like a, quote, weirdo has been told it's about time he started contributing to Bill's ta-da-ta. Okay, I don't want to read the story, but I do want to look at the picture. Look at how this dog sits. Look at that. With his arms down to his side. Head straight forward. Yeah, weird dog. There you go, guys. That's it. There's our doom break. Let's get back to the crazy stuff. I'm just kidding. Okay, now everyone's tweeting pictures of their dogs sitting in weird positions. Okay, we got it. There you go. Weird dog, wacky position. There's our doom break. You're welcome. Boris Johnson blasts attacks on Winston Churchill statue as absurd and shameful. So once again, first the statues, then the churches, right? They're removing history. So we're going to create something new, they believe. We've seen this before.
Statues in London, the cenotaph, the Churchill statue, have been boarded up, and this is clearly what has spurred a stream of tweets from the Prime Minister. He has said the statue of Winston Churchill in Parliament Square is a permanent reminder of his achievement in saving this country and the whole of Europe from a fascist and racist tyranny. He goes on to say, it is absurd and shameful that this national monument should today be at the risk of attack by violent protesters. Yes, he sometimes expressed opinions that were and are unacceptable to us today, but he was a hero and he fully deserves his memorial. And he goes on to say in a latest tweet that these protests have been hijacked by extremists. So clearly,
Just sharing, but again, that spirit all around the world. Tear down the statues, hide the history. We're going to create something new. Conspiracy theorists claim Mayan calendar was wrong and the world will end this month. You heard about this one? Humanity has faced a pandemic, wildfires, and a plague of locusts in 2020, and theorists believe there's more horror on the way. The theory is based on the fact that the Gregorian calendar was introduced in 1581 and 11 days were lost to better reflect the time it takes Earth to orbit the sun. Over 286 years, those 11 days added up, and conspiracy theorists have claimed we should be in 2012. Scientist Paolo Tagliaguin, probably said that wrong, said we're technically in 2012, and June 21st, 2020 should actually be December 21st, 2012. Have you heard about this? It's kind of crazy. Back in 2012, various theories. I have some 2012 stories, man. I knew a guy that he was real close to moving down to South America to witness the ascension. He's really deep into this stuff, man. This guy was deep into it, and it really changed his life when nothing like that happened in the physical. I do think something triggered in 2012. I have my own theories on that, but it wasn't what some of the kind of more new agey type people I think were expecting. It started with claims that a planet discovered by the Sumerians is headed towards Earth. That whole thing is goofy. That's back to Zechariah Sitchin. Okay, whatever. We get it. We'll see. We'll see. Is this the end of the world this month, perhaps? Seattle officials deliver porta potties in support of Anfarta. Mayor defends autonomous zone. Chaz is not a lawless wasteland of anarchist insurrection, man. So some of these people are completely complicit with this, and they want this. They want the destruction to accelerate. They're open about it. It's where you're at. White supremacists and racist terrorists pose greatest risk of violence, FBI warns. This is nuts, but just more of that narrative. We're always hearing about these guys. It's the white supremacists are going to come get you. Meanwhile, very small groups of these people exist. The real dangerous ones are the ones that are on the far left, right? That seem to be protected by all these governors and mayors. Many of these, as they call blue states. White supremacists and racist domestic terrorists pose the largest threat of violence in the U.S. amid nationwide protests across the country, according to a new intelligence bulletin. I don't even need to read much more of this. I don't want to. It's upsetting. But this is what they do. This goes back to the Patriot Act. Did you ever actually look at the Patriot Act and see who the enemies are? It's pretty much us. Check it out sometime. Mountain Fear, world's biggest 5G tower installed on China. They left that out. China installs the world's biggest 5G tower on Mount Everest using yaks to lug controversial equipment up tracks. Let's see what this says. It's nothing. At a height of 6,500 meters, it's the highest 5G antenna installation in the world, say organizers China Mobile Hong Kong and Hawaii. Some pictures. China Mobile Hong Kong announced completion of the joint installation on Facebook, saying that it had successfully built more 5G base stations, including 6,500 meters above sea level on the highest peak, Mount Everest. What a shame. How gross that is to me. I think that's really gross. Mount Everest shouldn't be tainted by this, I feel. The firm said that it would help improve communication, but another example, I think, if you want to look in a kind of metaphorical sense, that spread of the beast system all over, that spread of these tentacles, that Lovecraftian creature. The firm said it would help improve communication for mountaineering friends, for whom it was no longer a dream to reach 8K live broadcasts with relatives and friends on 5G network. Okay, don't even need to read the rest, really just the headline that counts, but they're building on Mount Everest, China. It's crazy. Here's another one. China, you're always acting up. China will rewrite the Bible and the Quran to reflect socialist values amid the crackdown on Muslim Uyghur minority. Just the headline. That's all I needed. VeggieTales creator says white privilege has led to his success. Here's another one. This may be one of those last bastions. I've seen people for years in comment sections who have children talking about, what do you show your kid in a world like today when Nickelodeon's compromised and Cartoon Network, obviously, and just all these other, Disney, obviously. And what kind of animated shows do you show your kids? And for years, I've seen people recommending VeggieTales. And this is from heavensentdaily.com. It's a Christian website, but he's a Christian man, and the VeggieTales animations were always very innocent, very pure, and good ways to educate children with no hidden Illuminati or satanic agendas, which is rare these days. But unfortunately, it looks like he's bending a knee, and he says now his white privilege has led to his success. So there you go. Taking that knee. Ice Cube. Just pushing more of this, more of the uprising. Just one of these guys. Even though he's got this image flipping off the Illuminati. Let's see what this is. I mean, I'm with that, but the world will blacken the F and I up there, Ice Cube says. And that was from 3 days ago. Okay, so that's good. We would like that, Ice Cube. We want that. But I think he's framing it like it's all just Trump, like Trump's full-on just the Illuminati. But I feel, like I said, there's a good possibility. It's a possible avenue I'm watching for, that Obama comes back on the scene, that they somehow get Trump out. He's been created as the most villainous, most evil president ever lived by our mainstream media and all over the world, and celebrities and corporations and all these people, even his own people, Republicans, Democrats, all against the guy. So he's being set up as the ultimate fall guy and the one thing that we all hate or are supposed to hate. And then here's going to come perhaps Obama. I'm just saying it's a possibility. It's a theory. They push him off as a black man, even though he's Kenyan and Indonesian, but still, first black president. So he's going to come in, and how easily people would bend a knee to that. I'm just saying, if you think about it, put it together. So there you go. I'm rambling again. I know. I do this. Okay, so speaking of that, you may remember this. This is from October 1st, 2008. I'll just play this thing out. You may remember this is the Obama. Now, remember, and compare this to what we see on Trump. Again, all the hatred. I'm not saying Trump's the good guy, the great. I'm just saying we can see how this whole kind of thing is playing out, right? Regardless of good guy, bad guy, the ultimate idea is to build that final beast system. So we're starting to see how it's all playing out. This is one of those possibilities, but you might remember this, and this just goes to show that kind of spirit and that energy. This is from 2008, so these people are all grown up. And I'll just play this out for you.
Happiness.
Oh, wait. We will get to that. My bad. Here's the one I was trying to show you first. Let's watch this one first. Then we'll get to that one.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next doctor. Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next lawyer.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next automotive technician.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next chef.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next architect.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next engineer.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next fireman. Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next architect.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next chemical engineer.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next entrepreneur.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Obama speaks on race in America. Yes, we can. The greatest part of our past, some of the things of our past.
Okay, now, now hold on. There's a couple things I want to show you here. So first, this is considering the idea that Obama is going to be the actual physical incarnation of the Antichrist, that spirit will overtake him. He's going to be the man of lawlessness, the son of perdition. It's just a lot of people are seeing this as a possibility. So I'm throwing it out there. Okay, some people are, oh boy, here we go. You're rolling their eyes. Hey man, stick to the flying humanoids. Now we're getting into crazy territory. Now, bear with me. Let me show you a couple things. So considering that idea, the first thing these guys say when they come in is Alpha Omega, which is in the Bible as well, right? The beginning and the end. And that's refers to the Lord. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So this is what they're saying when they first march in. If you want to look at this through more spiritual type eyes, if you will, perhaps.
Omega. 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 Omega.
And then we go down the list here of all the same. Right, where's the yes we can part? Let's see that thing.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next doctor. Because we follow through their various lawyers.
There is a part in here, we saw it earlier, where they all start saying, yes, we can. Here it is.
Take full responsibility for our own lives. Yes, we can. Have our own dreams and do not commit expensive your dreams. Yes, we can. Teach others that while they may face challenges, discrimination in their lives, they must never succumb to despair. Yes, we can. Always lead everybody.
So they keep saying the yes, we can. And something else to keep in mind here, in case someone's minds are going in the wrong direction, but this isn't just, oh, these people are bad. Look how bad the black people are. This is, the saddest part is, it's just another example of how they're being used by people that don't care about them. They only care about what they can get out of them, out of using them. That's the issue. So I also thought it was interesting how they keep saying, yes, we can, yes, we can. And some of y'all have seen this maybe. Maybe you haven't. Just in case. It's kind of crazy. Let's see here. Yes, we can. It's got to be in here somewhere. There we go.
Yes.
So check this out. And you can try this on your own. Way back, I had an app many years ago that you could record your voice on and change the sounds of it and stuff. You could also play everything in reverse. So if you have anything like that on your phone, or you can download it for free if you want, find an app and just try it. make sure you can reverse your voice. But yeah, just say in there, yes, we can, and then play it backwards. And it's very clearly, thank you, Satan. And that makes no sense that it would come out like that, does it?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. As you say. As you say. As you say. As you say. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. As you say. As you say.
Maybe not, right? Some people may not be with that. Maybe you think, that's crazy. It doesn't, and that's again, that'll just be that division. Some people are not going to have eyes to see anything like this that's going to be outside the norm, or something more in kind of a spiritual language. And yes, of course, sometimes there's things that could be confused for something spiritual or paranormal or supernatural where there's an obvious explanation for that. But it's not just black or white. There are gray areas, and those are the areas I reside in and look for and try to connect, because there are some things that are really, truly strange that happen that get passed off or written off real easy so people don't pay attention to it, so anywho. This says, alert number 2, the homeless people we invited took, this is from the Chaz community. This is an alert they had put out. It says, area leftists declare themselves autonomous, immediately beg for international aid. Alert number 2, the homeless people we invited took away all the food at the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. We need more food to keep the area operational. Call Soros, right? Please, if possible, bring vegan meat substitutes, soy, of course, fruits, oats, soy products, etc. Anything to help us eat. All right, so that didn't last long, did it? Here's another one, man. Like I said, first the statues, then the churches. Now you got Pelosi in on it. She wants 11 Confederate statues removed from the Capitol. Let's see how this one plays out. Oh, okay. Then there was this part I wanted to play. It's been a while since some of you guys may have seen this. Some of you may have never seen this. This is from posted October 1st, 2008. Once again, I'm going to show you this. Keep in mind the way that Trump is being portrayed by basically everybody in the entire world. Okay, how he's just the most villainous, evil. And then anybody who supports him, conservative or on the right or Christian, those are all the voices that seem to be more censored. So we see what kind of narrative they're trying to promote out there. But I feel it's also important for Trump to have been villainized just insane degrees. It seems like that's the way they're going. I'm not sure, but this is what I do. I try to connect dots, if you will. It's something I've been seeing. But check this out. So this goes back to Obama. You may remember this. If you do, you're welcome to sing along. Wouldn't recommend it. I personally hate the song, but hey. One man's steak is another man's baked potato, or something like that.
Gonna spread happiness. We're gonna spread freedom. Obama's gonna change it. Obama's gonna lead.
프로브리견은 미국의 행위를 강력히 규탄했습니다. 기자회견에서 발언자들은 미국이
Can you imagine if they tried to pull this off with Trump? I'm just saying. But to me, you see the beginnings of the deification of Obama. Thank you, Satan, Satan, thank you, Satan, Satan. A lot of these kids that grew up around all this are probably a lot of them that are living in Seattle right now. Quite possibly. But there you go. Archbishop Vigano's powerful letter to President Trump, eternal struggle between good and evil, playing out right now. Yep. That's it. Yep. I agree, sir. Based American woman tears down Antifa monument to George F. while saying that it's nothing but a Soros plan for increasing division and deadly riots. Wait, what? These tweets are protected? You got to be kidding me. Man, look at this. When I had posted this before and collected it as something I wanted to share, there were no issues there. But now, I guess since then, let's see, anything? Man. So they hit it. I can't get it. Let's see. See? That's so whack. The times we're in, man, it's crazy. Antifa releases list of demands after taking over 6 square block section in Seattle and setting up armed security watch. List includes reparations and ending the police department. So this is Chaz, once again. We've been talking about that earlier. It's the area of Chaz. All Black Lives Matter march to proceed without LA Pride. Christopher Street West, the nonprofit behind LA Pride, dropped out of the event after a permit application to the LA Police Department drew backlash on social media. The All Black Lives Matter Solidarity March will continue, but without LA Pride. The latter's organizer, Christopher Street West, announced on Monday. The organization previously faced backlash after a permit application to the LA Police Department and penned by a CSW representative for the All Black Lives Matter event was shared on social media. Event producer penned the permit letter but later withdrew from the demonstration meant to protest police brutality against black people after he came under fire for stressing a, quote, strong and unified partnership with law enforcement, unquote. In his departing statement, Consoletti said that CSW assured me they have the support of the black queer community for the event, but it's become clear that it's not entirely the case. Main reason is I wanted to share this is now I think it'll be interesting to watch how quickly all of these leftist, as they say, groups start eating themselves. How it all just starts devouring itself and just falling into full-on anarchy. That's the way I see it. We'll see. You probably heard about this, but the television show Cops has been canceled by Paramount Network, of course. But I've got another story on that somewhere. Let's see. No more Fort Bragg. Army is actually thinking about stripping the names of all bases named after Confederate generals. For the first time in decades since the issue was initially raised by the NAACP and other groups, the Pentagon says it's now open to considering renaming all Army bases named after Confederate generals and leaders after pressure coming from activists and civil rights groups amid George F. and the BL+M protests gripping the nation for the past 2 weeks. This includes the sprawling Fort Hood base in Texas, named after Confederate General John Bell Hood, as well as 9 other Army posts, especially Fort Lee Army Base in Virginia, named for top Confederate General Robert E. Lee. No less than Secretary of Defense Mark Esper and Secretary of the Army Ryan McCarthy signaled early this week they are open to a bipartisan discussion on the topic, according to an official Army statement. The whole system, man, you see how fast it's changing, guys. This is fast. The inversion is almost complete, full-on inversion, full-on final beast type system, and we're starting to see a very interesting narrative fall into place here. I did, like I said, a few videos on this, about the history of other empires destroying their history at the time. It never ends well. I'll play this. I thought this was good.
Our moment of silence. Those who wish to, we will now kneel for our moment of silence.
No. Let's back up here a minute. Let me get myself together. Terrence, be serious here. Okay, so y'all think you gonna get the black vote by kneeling with some African scarves on? Oh, we not even from Africa. I've never been to Africa. Listen, I have not been outside of the United States of America. Why are you wearing an African scarf to get my vote? You're not finna get my vote wearing an African scarf. First of all, I am from America, so put on an American scarf and maybe you'll get my vote. But hold on, no, you're not gonna get my vote. Do y'all not know that you have to work for a vote? Do you not know that you have to actually do something for people to get a vote? You just can't put on a scarf and get on your dirty knees and think you're going to get my vote. Well, you got on your knees for nothing because you're not getting my vote. Not today, not tomorrow. Yeah, y'all, I can't even. This is real. This is really real. This is pandering to a new level. I have never seen pandering like this before. I am so glad that President Trump does not pander for the black vote. I'm glad that he actually worked for the black vote, that he actually do stuff for the black community. They think they can just sit on their butts all day long and do nothing for America and then get a vote just by putting on a African scarf. Okay.
Anyway, I know that's some obvious stuff, but still, it's nice to hear people putting it out there anyway, just how obvious this whole scene was. It's all total photo op, total virtue signaling. There's some other videos people put out there of all these older senators trying to get up off their knees after over 8 minutes of being on them. And that was a nice little meme, a few memes on that if you're interested in such things. This could be trouble. But again, we see it on both sides, okay? And we understand there's a fanning of the flames. And unfortunately, they're going to use or try to use the races against each other. And unless we can love each other through God's eyes, then, we're all in trouble. Check this out.
To kill a white baby. The less white babies on this planet, the less of you we got, boo.
Blood is on
I hope they kill all the white babies. Kill them all right now. Kill them. Kill your grandkids. Kill yourself. Coffin, bitch. Go lay in the coffin. Kill yourself. I rebuke these nuts that you ain't got to kill a white baby. The less white babies on this planet.
Okay, we get it. It's unfortunate. And there's these kinds of discussions. To have black supremacy on the scale of what white people did would involve exacting revenge, enslaving the few survivors, cutting them off from any trace of their culture, and keep them from progressing civically for generations. Open a book, listen to Angela Davis, something. But just sharing that because we're seeing more of this. Here's the thing, again, guys. I'm no, Joel Osteen, okay? I'm no John Hagee. I'm certainly no Paul Begley. But I love Christ. I love God. In my personal life, I try to follow in his ways best I can. I've been doing this work for 14 years, off and on YouTube, because I've been seeing these kinds of things coming for a long time. A lot of you have too. A lot of us have been on this journey together for a long time. Some of y'all have been with me a long time. Countess Arcadia, Countess, Mind Crime comes to mind, but these are a couple of them been with me for a really long time. And then there's more, so thank you for being with me all this time. But there's going to be people in every race, white, brown, or black, they're going to fall for this narrative, I believe, of course, enact war on each other and this, that, and the other. And I think ultimately what's going to happen as these people, a lot of them, their systems, it just starts eating itself. And it's going to get more chaotic and more anarchy. But that'll be the one thing that we have to use, again, is going to be that connection through Christ we have, draw towards one another, whatever it may be, however it may wind up looking. I don't know. This whole thing's moving really fast. It's crazy. But I live in a pretty small town out in the country, so I'm not seeing anything immediate myself. Some of you are right in the thick of it, so wow, right? But yeah, it's all moving pretty quick, isn't it? We'll see. We'll see. I'm no Nostradamus over here. But then there's people like this. I call it not every millennial, but there's elements of the millennial generation that I believe are some of the most programmed people in history. And here's an example, I believe.
I'm not exactly the voice that people need to be hearing right now. In fact, I need more confirmation that this is real. I've gotten some, but I need more confirmation that this is real. Trump supporters got an email that said that this email is for patriots only. You've been identified as one of President Trump's fear system's loyal defenders, and according to your donor file, you'd make an excellent addition to the Trump army. It goes on to tell them that they would get a limited edition camo Keep America Great hat, to let them know that you are the president's first line of defense when it comes to fighting off the liberal mob. I don't know if you know.
I don't even know if that's real. That's my thing. I don't even know if that's real. But it's interesting how that programming's out there. And we've seen that in so many different ways where it's Trump and people on the right that are the Nazis and they're going to come get you and they're going to have the brown shirts and it's going to be full on control. And just meanwhile, we have Chaz in Seattle. And we see this stuff actually manifesting, but it's the exact opposite of what the mainstream media and every movie and TV show and everything else and celebrity is pushing is what's actually happening.
Hitler made Jews wear yellow stars. This feels like the reverse of that. Exactly the voice that people need to be hearing right now. In fact, I need more confirmation that this is real. I've gotten some, but I need more confirmation that this is real. Trump supporters got an email that said that this email is for patriots only. You've been identified as one of President Trump's fear system's loyal defenders, and according to your donor file, you'd make an excellent addition to the Trump army. It goes on to tell them that they would get a limited edition camo Keep America Great hat, to let them know that you are the president's first line of defense when it comes to fighting off the liberal mob. I don't know if you know. Hitler made Jews wear yellow stars.
Anyway, we get it. I can't. Okay, now we're getting into some more interesting Obama type stuff. Here's something I stumbled upon. It's from 2014. March 2014, so like 6 years ago. This person, this is on evilyoshida.com, and this person calls himself Horus Rising, which I don't think is a good thing, but I do agree is happening. And this is, he joined October 2013. Random thing I found, I know, but check this out. It says, let's look at something, shall we? Barack Hussein Obama. Barack in Hebrew and Arabic means blessed or lightning. Hussein means handsome. Obama in Hebrew means high place, like on top of a mountain or Illuminati pyramid. president, which would be of a high place. Obama has 2 daughters named Malia and Natasha. And that's her full name is Natasha. They say Sasha on the media, but her full name is Natasha. Now reverse both names and see what you get. Elam Ash Satan. Elam Na is Elama, which refers to the 5 pillars of Islam and the awaited savior. Natasha equals Ha Satan. In other words, Obama is the blessed and handsome awaited savior that brings in the New World Order for the Illuminati elite. Michelle is an androgynous reptilian, and I'm not with the androgynous reptilian and all this. That's where it starts getting into, in my opinion. Maybe you're with all that, and that's fine. The one thing you can do is you can take the name Elam, and this is Malia backwards, Elam, and then Satan, which is Natasha backwards, and remove Allah, which is A-L-A-H from there, and check out what's left. It's I am Satan. That's the other side of that. See? So if you take the daughters' names, reverse them, Malia, which turns into A-I-L-A-M, and then Natasha, which turns into S-A-T-A-N, and you remove the Allah, A-L-A-H, you're left with I am Satan, which is interesting, I think. Something to think about. Minneapolis neighborhood. Oh, what's this? Man. Okay, let's see if we can pause it. And see if we can get in it. Minneapolis neighborhoods face food desert. I believe they're trying to, desert after looting closes multiple stores. That's the other thing, just a headline really, but there's so much destruction left behind from all of this. And a lot of these people destroyed their own neighborhoods. Now some of these people are having trouble getting food. George F. family petitions United Nations to help disarm the police in the United States. This is a big one. There's even an Illuminati card for that, if you will. I'm going to resave that. This is a big deal, guys. This is something that people, even old school Alex Jones from back in the 90s was talking about the blue helmets coming in. Bill Cooper was talking about that's the ultimate agenda, is to bring the United Nations troops onto American soil. So there's people have been talking about this for a long time, but now we're actually seeing a very real possibility. This is from Breitbart. It's a mainstream type source. Not mainstream lefty or anything, but definitely more to the right. But even the Andrew Breitbart, his death was interesting. That's one of those videos YouTube removed from my channel a long time ago. I can't remember if I re-uploaded it after I edited it. Maybe you can look it up. Look up Breitbart in my search engine on my videos. I might still have a video on that. But I remember they removed that years ago as one of the first ones they took down originally. And I feel like I edited, I did an edit and I put it back up. But excuse me, his passing, there were some interesting things around that. Anywho, the family of George Floyd, the black man killed while in police custody in Minneapolis on Memorial Day, has sent a letter to the globalist United Nations to ask for its help in disarming the police officers in the United States of America. Family's legal team facilitated the letter, which was sent on Wednesday, according to NBC News. The group sent a letter on June 3rd to one of the international body's working groups asking for support for the end of the provision of military equipment and military-type training for police, the teaching of de-escalation techniques, independent prosecutions. This is your world court here coming into fruition as well. Independent prosecutions and autopsies for extrajudicial police killings and more. When a group of people of any nation have been systematically deprived of their universal human right to life by its government for decades, same government that's all about taking life from little babies, it must appeal to the international community for its support and to the United Nations for its intervention. The UN issued a statement on May 28th, 3 days after Floyd's death. It included the names of other black people in the U.S. who have died in police custody. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we see the trend. We see where this is heading, right? Can you imagine that? Blue helmets on American soil in your neighborhood, making sure you're in your homes by 10 o'clock at night, making sure you have your chip. Democrat Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear announces plans to provide 100% health coverage for black residents. Okay, let's check this out.
We see African Americans dying at twice the rate that they make up of the population. And it simply can't be allowed to continue any longer. My commitment today is we are going to begin an effort to cover 100% of our individuals in our Black and African American communities. Everybody. We're going to be putting dollars behind it. We're going to have a multifaceted campaign to do it. But it's time, especially during COVID-19, when we see what happens when you don't have coverage, we're going to make sure that everybody does. This is just a first commitment.
White folk, you screwed. I'm just having some fun, for real, guys. And please don't let this start leading anybody into that spirit of us versus them, black versus white. I got to share these stories because this is what their narrative is. I want to show, and we know this. You know, we got to keep it in context, but we can't let it start turning us against each other. Oh, now they're doing this for the black people. Screw the white ones, you know. I mean, that's what they want, I believe, that they want more division. They want us to turn against each other. And like I said, I'm no Paul Begley over here, all right? I'm no, who are all the other ones? Joel Osteen, who's some other big names? Kenneth Copeland. I'm certainly no Kenneth Copeland over here. But all kidding aside, Jesus, I believe, is the answer to everything right now. And I feel like that's really what's happening as we see all this unfolding. Even Trump, whether he knew what he was saying or not, at one point a while back said, they're not coming after me, they're coming after you. And I believe that that's us. Ultimately, anybody who loves God, who has Christ, has the Holy Spirit, that we're in that season. And that's my perception. What do I know? Jeff Bezos scolds Amazon customer for saying all lives matter. Just another headline, more of that. Milwaukee protester says curfew citation was mailed to him after he posted video on social media. Let's check this out.
Well, some Milwaukee protesters say they've received curfew citations in the mail, but lawyers are questioning the legitimacy of those citations. Sharon Magenda joins us live near the protest now with more. Sharon?
Natalie, I'm here near North and Wauwatosa, and protesters have taken over the intersection. I'll move out of the shot so you can see. I spoke to Demetrius Griffin, who's a protester. He got a curfew citation in the mail yesterday for $691. Now, for the last 5 days, he's been out protesting and posting his whereabouts on social media, garnering thousands of views. I asked the police department and mayor's office if these were legitimate citations, and they have not given me a clear answer.
Something's not right about it.
The citation raises questions. For one, Demetrius Griffin doesn't speak Spanish, but the ticket itself is in Spanish. It says it's issued by Milwaukee Police Virtual Investigation Unit and that Griffin violated the emergency curfew and there's video available.
I feel like it's just a scare tactic. They're trying to intimidate me. They don't like the stuff I say.
The citation does have Griffin's driver's license number and has a signature by an officer. Milwaukee attorney Nicole Mueller says she's never seen a citation like Griffin's before, but did say her law firm has received a number of protest-related citations and arrests.
Not only received municipal ordinance violation tickets, but also referrals and some criminal charges.
Mueller says people should not pay the fine, but it's important people don't ignore the citation and instead take it to court.
They're using stuff like this to make us shut up about our First Amendments because we just out peacefully protesting.
If you're raising constitutional issues in litigating these citations, they need to be raised before your proceedings really start.
We put the ticket number into the municipal court system and it wasn't found. Mueller says tickets could take some time with a possible backlog due to protests. She says it's important citations get taken care of, especially if you were arrested in the process.
What will still come up on a criminal background check is their arrest. So it will say arrest for disorderly conduct employers could see that, future schools could see that.
Police Chief Alfonso Morales tells CBS 58 he hasn't seen the citation himself. He says the department doesn't have the capacity or time to look for people to give curfew citations based on social media posts, but he would use posts to try to get someone in that committed some sort of larger crime. Mueller wants to remind protesters they do not have to answer to police or show them social media videos. They need a warrant to get that.
Before you go out and protest, get a number and name of an attorney. Write it on your arm.
If it's legit, we're going to go to trial. If it's not, you're still not stopping nothing. I'm not going to stop.
That's fine as far as it's peaceful protests, right? That's a good idea. What's wrong with that? What's this? Let's see. Sources reporting that NYPD Commissioner and Chief of Department are resigning, and between 300 and 800 officers are retiring immediately. Okay, let's check this out. I think this is it.
I think
Maybe. Let's see.
I probably surprised everyone, Neil, and I stand by it. I think, when I was sworn in as police commissioner, one of the main announcements I made was a new youth initiative. I think that we can do a lot better. I think it's money spent on the youth is money well spent. I think that if we don't get it right, we're going to be dealing with them in the criminal justice system, and nobody wants that. I think a lot more I could say on this. I think it's incumbent upon all agencies, and I'll lead by example. We can find the money to fund youth programs in this city. I think we can do it. I think we can do it without
taking it out of commissioner, by taking it out of monies right now allocated to police.
Absolutely, and I stand by it. And I think, Neil, I think it's crime fighting. I really do. It's just crime fighting in a better way. I probably surprised everyone, Neil, and I stand by it. I think.
Anyway, we get it. Just more of that. See where that goes. Ending these police departments. Oh, this is Madonna. I even put her in the opening sequence of my movie, The Scariest Movie Ever Made 2020, because I do see her as one of Hollywood's witches. She understands the mind, that Antichrist hive mind. I've shown that in a lot of videos. She did a performance, I believe it was Eurovision, where she shows everything and shows what they want, which is full-on destruction of everything, and they'll rise up from the ashes, even to the point of nuclear holocaust, like bombs going off, lots of death, lots of destruction, and they believe then they can create their new world order. Anyway, we'll watch some of this. Check this out. It's not much. Acting like she's for the people, but people like her, I believe, are for the anarchy, the end game. What was that? And then there's this. Oh boy. That looked rough. Okay, there's a couple of clips I wanted to show on this from a YouTube channel. I can't pronounce it. You can see it down here. If you want to look that channel up, I just subscribed. One of my subscribers sent me this in an email, and I found some pretty cool clips in here, so thanks for sending that. I'll show you some of the things this person's showing here. Let's see. Uno momento. Here we go. Let's try that. I'll just refresh it. Let's try that. Hopefully, come on, YouTube. There we go. There's a really good one at the end I wanted to show, but I was going to show a couple of these shorter ones here on the way. And this is one of those channels, they call all this stuff reptilian. I'm not really into that these are reptilian lizards or anything like that. I think that a lot of times we're actually seeing a spirit attached to them, or that's actually operating through them, especially in the eyes, when the eyes start freaking out. So let's go further here. There's a couple more I wanted to show you. Here we go. Here's one of them. Check this out. I think this is a recent one as well. Come on. Watch the eyes here. Not that one, but hold on. There you go. So a lot of times with these, you'll see people say, that's just a reflection of someone taking the pictures. And, I don't believe that. I've shown some examples throughout the years. I think are solid examples of this kind of a thing. But here's in a commercial, which from some other country, I don't know which country or the language, but it looks like a mainstream kind of commercial about the medical facilities and the people working in medicine, most likely related to the crown virus. And you see this woman's eyes like this. This reminds me of a really cool example of this I found way back, like 2013, 2014, the latest, but way back in those days, from another YouTube kind of truth type channel. Can't even remember the name, but I mirrored a video that they put up, and they wound up claiming it and giving me a strike on my channel. I think they lifted it eventually, which was cool, but I just remember not liking them very much after that, and it sucked because it was a really good clip they put up. But they put up a clip of somebody with their phone, their camera phone, walking up to a Hallmark store, and on the Hallmark store, on the windows outside of Hallmark, they had these advertisements, and one of the advertisements was of a little baby with a little, I think there was like a blanket over his head or something. It was like an advertisement for something. But the baby's eyes were just like this. It was like perfect slits. There was no denying it. It definitely wasn't someone taking the picture. It was a perfect slit. And this is years ago. I was like, wow, what a great example of this kind of a thing, I always see it as just examples of, terrors or people with demons on them or in them around us. Maybe these are your psychopaths or your narcissists. I have my own theories on this, but anyway, I thought that was a good catch right there. Here's another one at the end. Okay, here's another one at the end. Check this out.
His eyes,
There you go.
very last minute, just when he thinks that the broadcast has been completed, we spot something in his eyes.
All those people on camera are walking on a huge black sun, too. Look at that.
Because he can go back and
You'll see it in a second.
but he blinks and he has a second set of eyes. You're about to see this. Just at the very end, it's coming up now. We're going to see a second set of eyes. I don't know if this has been caught on TV before. Do you see that? Second set of eyes. I'm going to go back and show it to you. She even looks a little bit shocked, like, what did I just see? I think she saw it too. Here we go. So there it is, the blink. I'm going to do it in slow-mo now. There we go. It's like he had eyes in between. In between those eyelids is another set of eyes. Can you see that?
Another reason I wanted to share this example is if you can find my original The Scariest Movie Ever Made from 2007-ish, I just put up a link on my YouTube channel. Every time you come to the channel, I don't know if it's your first time or if you're return viewers, But I put a link up there to the scariest movie ever made. And underneath it, I have a downloadable version. And under that, I've got a link to the 2000 version of the scariest movie ever made. But in that movie, I had a couple of clips in there of some different news people. I believe they were both from CNN. And they had this very same anomaly. The eyes that seem to appear on the back of their eyelids. So anyway, it's not that common, but there you go. Make of it what you will. So what's this? Hello. Okay, let's refresh. Almost had it. Come on, man. Well, I don't know why this isn't coming up. Maybe I need to pause my ad blocker and see if that works. Let's try that. There we go. Excuse me. It says, don't worry, you guys. Celebrities made a video, so racism is canceled. Oh, boy. More of this madness. Let's check this out. From Julianne Moore. Look at this. These people paid social engineers. All of these big celebrities here.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility. I take responsibility for every unchecked moment, for every time it was easier to ignore than to call it out for what it was.
Every not so funny joke.
It's taking a knee.
Every unfair stereotype.
Take your
Every
knee.
blatant injustice, no matter how big or small.
Every time I remained silent.
Every time I explained away police brutality. Or turned a blind
I'm really
eye.
bummed to see
For how big or small.
most of these people I'd expect it from. Bummed to see Mark Duplass here. Writer, director, actor. He's made a couple of movies called Creep, these horror films. There's two of them called Creep. They're kind of found footage-y type films. I think they're great. Really good, scary, found footage-y type movies. I didn't know. But again, see, this is even me. I still, after all the years of doing what I do, it's like, and I'm a film student. I went to film school, so I do appreciate film and a good story and a good movie and good cinematography, good soundtrack, you name it. But it's hard. It's so hard, isn't it, to still appreciate some of the art. When we find so many of these artists are just, sometimes they're really dumb, really, it seems. Sometimes they're just full on tools for the left, if you will, just completely sold out to the left, whatever the left is they're with. Like a lot of times they're probably apolitical, where they're just so narcissistic or psychopathic or whatever, just focused on themselves, that they're with whatever they cause that their handlers or agents want them to be involved in. Who knows? But anyway, it's a bummer. And some of them may actually believe some of this stuff. But like I said earlier, it's easy for a lot of these celebrities to feel this way. Like, oh yeah, let it burn. Hey, we're with the protesters. We're with the rioters. Because that's that distinguished two-class system we see in all of these post-apocalyptic movies and books and novels on the dystopian futures. Many of them also turned into films and TV shows. That there's a two-class system. There's no middle class at all, which is the majority, it would seem. But now it's just an extremely wealthy and then a dirt poor. They get abused, thrown to the lions, competing for food by killing each other, whatever it may be.
I remained silent.
Every time I explained away police brutality. Or turned a blind eye. I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes. These are our brothers and sisters, our friends, our family. We are done watching.
Also, this is another example of the world's answer to spiritual problems. There's no mention of God, no mention of Christ, nothing like that, of course. This is the same old that never goes anywhere. We can handle this together. We'll figure it out, guys. Hey, we're with you. It's like that video of those kids, the white kids playing beer pong, music, nice little apartment, yelling out the window, "We're with you, bro," to some of the protesters or rioters, really. And they wound up throwing rock or whatever it is and busting out the kids' windows. And the kids are screaming, "We're on your side, bro." Tell you about that, man. It's vicious. This is a spirit. And it's going to eat itself. These people they'll destroy each other.
Watching them die. We are no longer bystanders. We will not be idle. Enough is enough.
I will no longer allow an unchecked moment. I will no longer allow racist, hurtful words, jokes, stereotypes, no matter how big or small, to be uttered in my presence.
I will not turn a blind eye. Going for a jog should not be a death sentence. Sleeping in your own home should not be a death sentence.
Playing video games with your nephew should not be a death sentence.
Shopping in a store should not be a death sentence. Business as usual should not be life-threatening. I stand against hate.
I stand against hate. I stand against hate. I stand against hate.
We don't need to watch the whole thing. We get it. Excuse me. We get it. We understand. I stand against hate. And that's one thing they'll be using as far as like the LGBTQ and the rest. Is that if you don't fall in line with that, or if you don't agree with it or support it, that's hate. And in this new society we've created or creating, there's no room for hate. And hate's ultimately it's going to equate to anybody following the ways of Christ. Will be seen as full-on hatred in this world and evil. And we've already seen more than the seeds of it. We're seeing it manifest in a lot of different ways. What's this? ADL, Anti-Defamation League, slammed for weak response. Oh, Ice Cube's anti-Semitic tweets. Thought this was interesting. They call it Ice Cube's anti-Semitic tweets, but look at what he was tweeting. He's tweeting Saturn. Over the past several days, the iconic rapper sparked heavy backlash for tweets that pushed Jewish conspiracy theories. On Wednesday, the performer, whose real name is O'Shea Jackson, shared an image of the Star of David with an outline of a cube at the center. He then followed that tweet with other images labeled Black Cube of Saturn, with photographs of large black cube structures in Manhattan, Australia, and Denmark, the same image many of us have used in our videos for years. The Black Cube of Saturn appears to be a symbol believed by a conspiracy theorist to identify Satan worshippers. The Atlantic staff writer Adam Serwer pointed to another conspiracy theory that concludes a symbol of cubes as Jewish control. How about that one? We've all seen that one, haven't we? Later in the evening, Ice Cube praised the Nation of Islam founder Louis Farrakhan and echoed his rhetoric. Anyway, I don't know what all that's about, but it's interesting these symbols are coming more into the mainstream. Is this another example of something I've been saying for many years as well? It's all being revealed. It's all coming out in the open. And I got Fox News talking about this, and Ice Cube's tweeting it, or after Ice Cube tweets it. He also tweeted a picture a few weeks ago of the Derek Chauvin, or whatever his name is, the cop that was on top of Floyd, next to a picture of a guy that looked a lot like him wearing a Make America Great hat again, and it turned out it wasn't the same people. But he had that out there for a long time. I mean, is it out of ignorance, or are they just part of it, causing more division? What do you think? But interesting how these symbols are all starting to come out more and more. Symbols we've been covering for years, right? People are like, it doesn't mean anything. Shut up. You're being stupid. No, but shut up. Here's another one of these. 33, of course. Cops. We talked about earlier, the TV show Cops, on air for 33 seasons. Canceled amid the debate over policing. So once again, that 33. This whole thing is so coded and definitely beyond just pandemic. It's definitely was definitely shown to us in many different ways before it happened. Obama praises Floyd protests. Makes me feel optimistic. It's another Obama story. $564 million. Corporate America floods social justice causes with cash amid Floyd protests. Once again, it's the rich, the extremely wealthy. Of course, they're put money into destruction, the full on. They want the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's like they're making their move. Not just corporate America, but the whole system. It's really moving full throttle now. Here's something pretty crazy. The American Civil War from 1861 to 1865. And then we have this story right here. Dow sinks from June 11th. From yesterday, Dow sinks 1,861 points amid rise of C-19 cases. So 1861, just numerically connected to the American Civil War. And that was put out at 11:22 a.m., 2 master numbers. Teenagers of color to decide whether to prosecute police officers in Alexandria, Virginia. We'll see how that plays out. That's interesting. Letting young black teenagers decide the fate of the officers in Alexandria, Virginia. Okay, we'll see how that plays out. Starbucks bans employees from wearing Black Lives Matter merchandise. I think that's kind of a surprise. I would have thought they'd be supporting that, actually. And Seattle officials deliver porta potties in support of Antifa or Anfarta. Mayor defends autonomous zone. Chaz is not a lawless wasteland of anarchistic insurrection. All right, we get it. We understand. You know what, man? Looking down at the time, wow, we did over 3 hours. But I just realized that is the last story for the night. So I just want to say, man, thank you. Wow, what a crowd. We got over 1,500. Man, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's a lot coming this week. I've already got a show lined up for Sunday evening. It's going to be with Casey from Into the Stars, Days of Noah, and also Jacob Israel, all coming together. Going to talk about current topics. I'll have a show this coming week where it's a hangout. I'll put a link in the chat as we go live, and you guys can join in. We'll just talk about whatever you want, whatever questions or whatever things you want to bring up. That'd be cool. And my new video should be up over the next few days or so. So thanks so much again for your patience on that. But just want to say thanks again, man, to the Patreon and PayPal supporters out there. Huge thank you to you. I really appreciate it. And thanks to you guys just for listening. Thanks for your encouragement, your prayers, all the things you share, helping us connect dots. We work together as a community. I think it's awesome. So thank you. Also, if you didn't know, I put it in my community tab, but I didn't make a big deal of it as far as making a video on it, but I launched merchandise this week. Just a few days ago, I found out that they wound up censoring half of the designs I put out there. This is on Spreadshirt, or Spreadshop, or Spreadshirt. It's the name of the company. So I had to go change some stuff, but I put some new ones up today. I'll be putting up some more over the weekend, but check it out if you're interested. The link is at the bottom of my website. So there's a link to the website below if you're interested. Also got 2 great sponsors. Check out the Brave browser for free download. It comes with DuckDuckGo, which is a free search engine. I've been using that for over a year. It's awesome, and it's the anti-Google, so I think it's worth it. And again, it's free. Also, food preps, man, with all the stuff happening with food right now. I've had a great sponsor for over a year now, My Patriot Supply. Link below to their emergency food kits. They're running some specials. You can get some great discounts. And beyond that, look through all their whole website, and they have basically anything you're looking for you can find. So check it out. Okay, business done. Let me quickly end with a prayer too. I always like to do that and just say, wow, with a breath. Heavenly Father, thanks again for this format, for this place we can all hang out, chat, discuss all these topics. We certainly don't have all the answers. It can be a lot of fun searching through all this, also watching for you and watching for the signs there as well. And help us all to not get too carried away and to try to keep things in context, and also to stay in a state of peace of mind, connected with you through Christ, and to not be in fear of anything we're seeing out there. So thank you. Thanks for these wonderful people out there. We really need you right now in this world. You know that, but I also understand that things have to play out a certain way. We understand that. So just help us as all of these things unfold. And I love you. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. All right, guys. Hey, man, on that note, I just want to say thanks again. I've got another show coming up in 2 nights, same time, 7 p.m. Central. Please be here. It's going to be awesome. This is going to be a great panel, 4 different people, all different perspectives. I think it's going to be great, guys. So I hope I can see you there and show up for the show next week where we can hang out and talk. And also new video coming up probably Monday, I'd say around Monday. Big shout out to the moderators as well. Thank you too. You all do such a great job. Okay, guys, y'all take care. Have a good night. And I'll talk to you a little later.